the day dawned bright and clear. The sun was out in all its majestic maize and blue and scarlet and gray November colors all morning long, and we've saved the best until last. That's right. Today, the Michigan Football Network brings you the final Michigan football game of 1977. The quick and agile Michigan Wolverines versus the powerful Buckeyes from Ohio State in their annual bloodletting before the largest regular season crowd in the 108-year history of man's inhumanity to man. That's right. There are 106,024 howling, screaming fans along with you and me, and we're all anxiously waiting for kickoff of the 74th chapter of that old familiar classic, The Tale of Two Cities, Ann Arbor, Michigan versus Columbus, Ohio, because in just 3 short hours from now, one of these little old Midwestern towns will be experiencing the heights of ecstasy while the other will be suffering from the agonizing, magnified despair of defeat. Big Bo and Little Woody, the big two of the Big Ten, locking horns for the 9th time in a ball game that will decide, first of all, the Big Ten football champion for 1977, and secondly, and almost equally important, the Big Ten Rose Bowl candidate for 1978. Do you football fans realize these two great coaches, probably two of the greatest in our lifetime, are absolutely dead even in Big Ten play since they started knocking heads back in 1969, since Bo Schembechler took over as head coach here at the University of Michigan at the start of that 69 season? Big Bo and Little Woody have won exactly 61 Big Ten games. They have both lost 7. They have both tied 1. As a matter of fact, that tie was with each other 10-10 4 years ago right here on Canham's carpet. 73 was the year, and remember, that was followed by that infamous Rose Bowl vote. Who will ever forget that? You know, over this 9-year period, overall, Bo has 85 wins, 12 losses, 3 ties. Woody has 81 victories, 14 losses, and 2 ties, which gives old General Bo a slight edge over Woody in victories. As far as head-to-head confrontations in the past 8 years are concerned, Woody has won 4 times, Bo has won 3, and there was that one tie game we talked about. But in Woody's 4 wins over Bo and Michigan over the last 8 years, do you realize in 3 of the 4 Ohio State victories, Michigan has outplayed Ohio State in every statistic of the game except the one that counts, the final score. But I guess that's what football's all about, the bottom line, the final score. Today's classic here on Canham's carpet, we all know, doggone it, Michigan's out there working out now. Ohio State's down on Canham's carpet. The 106,000 fans are continuing to pour in, and no matter how you look at it, it's going to be a barn burner, cliffhanger, Donnybrook. Call it what you will. Right now, I'd like to excite the blood of every dyed-in-the-wool Michigan fan while we relive the last scoring play of 1976. Remember, a year ago, late in the ball game, down in the snake pit at Ohio State, Michigan was leading 15-0. The Michigan Wolverines were on the Buckeyes' 3-yard line. The Ohio State fans sat there stunned, 84,000 of them, while the very limited 4,000 Wolverine fans were in ecstasy. I can remember it so well. Michigan won 10 years ago, 17-3, and now they lead 15-0, and they're threatening. And look at those 256 Michigan fansmen over there. Go blue, go blue. And of course, we're very impartial as usual. 2 tight ends in a balanced line. Ricky Leach asks for the crowd to settle down as he hands off to Rob Lido, and it is! There it is! Oh, Rob Lido picks up touchdown number 28 on his career. He has picked up 15 touchdowns in this, his All-American season. He has climaxed a great big Michigan afternoon. Oh, how sweet it was, November 20th of 1976. Remember that final score up there on that little teensy scoreboard at the southeast corner of that Ohio State Stadium? It read Michigan 22, Ohio State zip. And you know, that was the first time that Ohio State had been shut out in 12 long years, over 113 ball games. And you know who did it last? The old bumper, Michigan's Bump Elliott, back in 1964, down there in that snake pit. It was 10-0, and Michigan went on to the Rose Bowl. Wolverine fans certainly hope history repeats itself here 13 years later. Well, you know, ever since that ball game last year, everyone here in the state of Michigan has been anxiously waiting for the 14th coming of you-know-who. Who? Why, old Woody Hayes, of course. Yes, sir, Dr. Strange Hayes is making his 14th appearance here in Ann Arbor since he took over as the Buckeyes head coach back in 1951. And boy, let me tell you something else. Has Ohio State been waiting to take revenge for that 22-0 shellacking at the hands of the Wolverines last year? As a matter of fact, they don't give a damn for the whole state of Michigan, as their song goes down there south of the border. And we here in the state of Michigan realize that Ohio is still a four-letter word. And even Michigan State fans will go along with that statement from old Bob Ufer. But so much for fun and games. The facts are simply this. Both teams are 9-1 in the season. Ohio is 7-0 in Big Ten play right now, already assured of at least a tie for the Big Ten championship of 1977, since Michigan is 6-1 in conference play so far this year. As we touched on briefly in our opening remarks, it really appears to be Ohio State's strength here this afternoon versus Michigan's speed and agility. With both head coaches and both teams revved sky high, I'd hazard a guess right now that the team that makes the fewest big mistakes, mental mistakes, physical mistakes, that team will be the loser out here this afternoon. Both teams are evenly matched. It's a real truism in football that the team that makes the fewest mistakes usually wins the ball game, and today it would be the Rose Bowl bid as well. But more about the game itself when we talk to Bo in just a few minutes down in that Michigan locker room. Right now, as we sit here high on the western side of the hole that Yost dug, let's set the stage for Canham's carpet and all the festivities that are going to unfold here this afternoon. This is the 74th meeting between these two old Big Ten rivals. Michigan is 140, Ohio State 28. 5 times these two great football powers have played to a tie. Michigan has 27 Big Ten football championships over the years. Ohio State has 20. But so much for statistics. Right now, you know, this beautiful Michigan Memorial Stadium, it's decked right now as we look around in all the colors of the rainbow, and I'd have to say that at the moment, maize and blue and scarlet and gray are the most dominant glow that we all watch here as we see. And we have a beautiful vantage point here high on the western sideline. It looks also as though this game is going to be played, as we mentioned before, in weather that's absolutely perfect for football. This morning, the sun was out all morning long. The clouds have moved in and taken over. There's no wind to speak of. The field is dry for about the first time all year. It's dry as a bone, lightning fast. We're going to have great conditions weather-wise for football. Now, as we set the stage, let's put it this way. You know the ball game. It's Michigan versus Ohio State. You know it's the largest crowd in the history of a regular season intercollegiate football game, as 106,024 fans are sitting here anxiously awaiting kickoff. You know the weather is perfect for football. The temperature's about 40 degrees, and what could be better with no wind, no snow, no rain, none forecast. Everything's great weather-wise. Kickoff right now, I'd say, is about 16 to 17 minutes away. And you know something else right now? It's time for us to move down to that Michigan locker room for our last pregame chat in 1977 with old General Bo right after these opening messages over this, the Michigan very determined Big Ten champion and Rose Bowl bound football network. Bob Ufer here, back in the Michigan Stadium, all set for the big kickoff of the confrontation between the Wolverines and the Buckeyes. And we're down in the Michigan locker room with the old general himself, and these Wolverines are ready, believe you me. Well, Bo, first of all, you won that Revenge Bowl game last week. It had to be very gratifying in front of the largest crowd in the history of Purdue football. But the first thing that I want to ask you is, were there any injuries out of that ball game against the Boilermakers, or have there been any key injuries this week in practice?
No, he came out of the Purdue game in pretty good shape. Of course, Huckabee did not play, but he's been running well in practice, and Roosevelt Smith banged his knee, but he ran well on Tuesday and Wednesday, so we figure he's ready too. So we really came out of the game in good shape.
What about Gene Johnson?
Gene Johnson is definitely out of the Ohio State game.
And what about this afternoon when you talk about your defense, Bo? I would say, and this is just an observation on my part, that you're as good defensively, physically, as you've been all year.
Well, that's true. Our middle guards are a little bit banged up, but other than that, we're in real good shape.
Well, considering all your injuries this fall, you've been hit harder this year in the 38 years that I've covered Wolverine football. You got to be somewhat satisfied with your 9-1 record going into this last big one.
Well, I think his team has responded extremely well under those circumstances, and of course, the majority of our injuries have been on the offensive side of the picture, and that's slowed our progress somewhat. But the last couple of weeks, I've been impressed with our team, and I think that in our offensive line, we're ready to give a good account of ourselves blocking again, and I really feel that our backs will do a good job of running the ball today.
Well, speaking of the ball game today, Bo, you and Woody have been knocking heads in the Big Ten for 9 years now. Actually, in the 9 years, you've coached 100 games here at Michigan. You won 85 and lost 12. Woody, over the same 9 years, has won 81 and lost 14. You fellas are identical in your Big Ten record, 61 wins, 7 losses, and a tie. You have defeated Woody 3 times. He has defeated you 4 times. And Bo, 3 of those 4 wins of Ohio State over Michigan and Bo Schembechler, you had every statistic in the book except the bottom line, the final score. That's got to hurt and smart a bit.
No, I mean, these games have been so close they could go either way. The problem is when you get beat by a field goal or something like that, you sometimes wonder, or you lose the game because you didn't kick a field goal. But I think basically year in and year out, the two teams have been extremely close. The games have been close, and it's just been a whisker here and there that has determined who wins it. But, we had an excellent game down there last year. We think we're ready to play another fine game this year. So it's going to be a great game, and anything can happen.
And, Bo, how do you react to the statement, the Big Two of the Big Ten, Michigan, Ohio State, Woody, and Bo?
Well, being the last game of the year and always for the championship, I think it probably gives credence to that statement. But, there are a lot of other fine teams in the conference, even though they haven't been in a position where they could have won it in the last few years.
Bo, we're going to stop just a moment. For those of you who may have just tuned in, this is Bob Ufer. We're at the site of the annual bloodletting between Michigan and Ohio State. We're down in the locker room with old General Bo right now. Before we talk about the Buckeyes a bit further, Bo, let's pause for this message over this, the Michigan very determined championship and Rose Bowl bound football network. Bob Ufer back here at the Michigan Stadium, down in the Wolverine locker room once again with the old general himself, George Patton Schembechler. And Bo, as I remember our locker room chats before these Ohio State games in the past, you've always said that both teams are keyed sky high. The kicking game and the turnovers will make the difference. Is that true here this afternoon?
I think it's been true, in almost any game of this magnitude, particularly the turnovers. I think that's critical, and of course, a lot of your turnovers come in the kicking game. But, you have to wait and see on those things. As far as turning the ball over, we both have done more of it than we would like during the course of the year, but both of us are running high-risk offenses. So anything can happen. The fumble, the interception, something like that could turn the game around. But you never know until you get into the battle to see exactly how it's going to go, but it should be a great football game, as all of them have been.
Well, I said it a moment ago. I'm going to repeat it. In all my 38 years, I've never seen a Michigan team so decimated with injuries from August through November. Actually, 18 men who on August 20th were slated to be first or second string have either been knocked out all season long or for the most of the season with injuries. Win, lose, and draw here this afternoon, Bo, and I've got a gut feeling you're going to win this ball game against the Buckeyes. This has got to be you and your staff's finest year of coaching at Michigan. I know it's embarrassing for you to react to that, but I would like you to react to this statement. You lost Chuck Stobart and you lost Gary Moeller. How have these two new men, Don Nalen taken over as offensive coordinator and Bill McCartney as defensive coordinator throughout this 77 season?
I think both of them done a great job. Our staff, has year in and year out done a real fine job in coaching, and those two fellows, of course, with additional responsibility, I think have really done a great job. But you don't want to dwell on the injuries, because if the program is sound, you're going to win in spite of those things. And we've been fortunate that we've had youngsters step into the breach here and play great football for us. And although we've been a little sporadic from time to time offensively, this team has given everything it can, and I think we're in a position now where we can play the type of football that we thought we would be playing throughout the year.
You were very satisfied with the performance of Purdue, in other words.
Well, I thought in the Purdue game, the defense played well right after the first drive. They shut them off completely. And the offense in the second half, I think, did the things that we thought it ought to do, particularly in our line blocking.
Now, we've talked about Michigan. What about Ohio State? How do you compare the Buckeye team today with the one you beat 22-0 a year ago in Columbus?
Well, I think they're similar defensively. I think they're both were fine defensive teams. We felt Ohio State last year was the best defensive team that we played against. Offensively, of course, they're much quicker than they were a year ago, particularly quarterback with Gerald. And changing their offense to more option stuff, I think, gives them a better opportunity to run. So I'd say the offense is stronger. The defense is the equal of the one they had last year. The kicking game is not quite as good because you take away that Scaldani, who, of course, I think last year kicked 52 yards a kick against us. I don't think their guy this year is capable of doing that.
And you might not have a Jimmy Smith bringing them back to negate those kicks.
Well, that's right. Although Dwight Hicks, I think, leads the conference at the present time in punt returns.
Bo, it's time for our incentives. We could talk about the fact that you want to win the Big Ten championship, which you do in the worst way. It'll make your 7th Big Ten football championship in the 9 years that you've been at Michigan. We could talk about the Rose Bowl bid, which you want real bad. We could say that you want to make it 86 wins and against only 12 losses in your 9 years as head coach here at Michigan. We could talk about you achieving your 62nd Big Ten victory against only 7 defeats. We could say that you want to keep the average score of every one of your Michigan games, and you've coached 101 of them here at the Wolverine School. Keep that average score, Michigan 30, the opponent's 8. We could say that you want to keep intact the fact that only 3 schools in the entire country have beaten you, Bo Schembechler, in your last 92 regular season games. But, Bo, I've known you, fella, for 9 years. And the only incentive that you, your team, want here this afternoon above everything else is to beat Ohio State and Woody Hayes, and in that particular order. One final question, Bo Schembechler. There's no doubt that you, your Michigan team, and your entire staff, you're all revved sky high. But what do you have to do physically out here this afternoon, both offensively and defensively, to beat the Buckeyes?
I think, Bob, first of all, you've got to talk in terms of the team, not necessarily me, you know. But I think in this ball game, what we have to do offensively, of course, is control the football more than we have in the past, and defensively, of course, we have to have a great defensive effort, the type of effort that we've had in all of our previous 8 meetings.
And that was the old general himself, Bo George Patton Schembechler, and believe me, football fans, he's got the glint in his eye that he had in 1969 before that big one. So with that in mind, yours truly, old Bob Ufer, is going to get out of this Michigan locker room, back up to the broadcasting booth, because the Wolverine Buckeye countdown to knockdown is only a minute and a half away right now over this, the Michigan, more determined than ever, championship and Rose Bowl bound football network. Can you hear them? Can you hear them across the state of Michigan and throughout the Midwest? The largest crowd in the history of a regular season intercollegiate football game, 106,024 fans being thoroughly entertained here by the pregame pageantry of George Cavender's Cavaliers. They were preceded by the second best marching band in the land, the Ohio State Buckeye Band, who rode out with their Script Ohio. There's nothing finer than seeing that Ohio State band ride out O-H-I-O on this Canham's carpet. And now this crowd being entertained down there by the Michigan Marching Band. What a show. Gee, I tell you, it's just got to make your blood boil. Isn't this what college football's all about? God darn it, this Big Bo and Little Woody confrontation every year. It's got to be as much American as apple pie, Statue of Liberty, and Mother Love. I'll tell you, we can't wait. We've seen every single Ohio State game since 1939. We've broadcast every one since 1945. And, you know, every year we think, well, it's going to be the same old thing. But, you know, it isn't. Every year is a classic all unto itself. Gosh, the first game we ever saw here was back in 1939. We were a spindly-legged, fuzzy-cheeked kid from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I was a freshman here on the football team. I'll never forget, Ohio State led 14-0 at the half. Ohio State led 14-7 at the end of the third quarter. And then Michigan tied it up midway through the fourth period. It was 14-14. I can see the ball now with 17 seconds left on the clock. The ball was down there at the southeast corner on the Ohio State 19-yard line. Freddie Trosco was kneeling at the 24. Tommy Harmon, Michigan's only Heisman Award winner, was back to kick a field goal to win the ball game for Michigan. Archie Coldress was the captain of the team. He snapped the ball back to Freddie Trosco. The big All-American end of Ohio State, Esko Sarkinen, came roaring in from his defensive end position. He's still on the coaching staff, incidentally. He grabbed Tom Harmon and he said, "You're not going to kick this one." And Tommy said, "How right you are, Esko. Look where the ball is." Little Freddie Trosco had picked it up around Harmon, down that eastern sideline, into the Ohio State end zone. The gun sounded ending the game, and Michigan had a tremendous come-from-behind win, 21-14. That was old Robert Ufer's baptism of Michigan football tradition. And from there on, my gosh, I remember the legendary Fritz Chrysler. His Mad Magicians beat Ohio State down at Columbus 58-6. And then who will ever forget the infamous Snow Bowl game down at Columbus? And there in the background, incidentally, is Michigan's alma mater, the yellow and the blue. And we're going to talk football all afternoon. Let's get a little pregame band music here. The Michigan band spelling out U of M. And here it is, Michigan's legendary alma mater, the yellow and the blue. fans settling back, waiting for kickoff, which right now they tell me is about 4 minutes away. You know, we've had a slight delay. The big eye, television controls our country, whether we like it or not, and for various reasons, an international news situation, and certainly that's worthy. They have postponed the kickoff until 1 o'clock, which right now, by our clock here in the broadcasting booth, indicates it'll be in about 3 to 4 minutes. But getting back to that 1950 game, you remember Michigan didn't complete a pass. They didn't complete a first down. Ohio State had a legitimate field goal. They led 3-0. 10 inches of snow on the ground. The temperature was 5 degrees above zero. Nobody did anything that afternoon except Michigan blocked 2 Ohio State punts, 1 for a safety, 1 for a touchdown, and the miracle of the Ice Bowl put Michigan in the Rose Bowl that year, one of Benny Esteban's greatest victories. And then remember the bumper in his first game against Ohio State. That's when Woody Hayes down here on the eastern sideline first got his start toward that Oscar that he won for acting in 1971. He broke a few yard markers, and he smashed a chair on that retaining wall over there in 1959, but it didn't do him any good because Bumper and Michigan won that game 23-14. Then you remember when Bump shut out Ohio State down in the Snake Pit in 1964, 10-0, went on to the Rose Bowl, and then 12 years later, that would have been last year, Bo shut out Ohio State 22-0. Here come the captains here in 1977. We're just about set for the toss of the coin. I don't have to remind you that Michigan has been phenomenally lucky in the toss of the coin before every ball game this year. Michigan's co-captains, Dwight Hicks and Walt Downing, have won 10 consecutive tosses of the coin. Right now, they're going to be introduced to Logan and Griffin and Brown and Ward, the 4 co-captains of Ohio State, and then, of course, the officials. But while they're doing all that, suppose we pause just a moment. We asked Ricky Leach this morning at the hotel what he felt Michigan had to do to win this ball game here this afternoon, and here was Ricky Leach's answer.
Well, I thoroughly believe that the key to this game is how well our offensive line controls their defensive line. Last year down in Columbus, our offensive line did one of the greatest jobs that our offensive line in Michigan's ever done. And if this year we can get our guys going again, Walt Downing and Mark Donahue and Mike Ken, the rest of the guys, if they can control their offensive line and open the holes up for Huck and Russ, our team will be very much in this game, I believe.
Oh, and look at those players down there. The Ohio State players 4 years ago today ran under that Go Blue sign, and Big Hicks, their All-American, had the audacity to rip it down. Now the M-men, the undergraduate M-men at Michigan representing other sports, are out there, and they're not allowing Ohio State to go under the pennant, and so they are having a little bit of a confrontation. The Ohio State players and all of the other M-men representing all of the other sports, and the Gladiators for Michigan aren't even on the field yet. Oh, brother, are you and I in for 60 minutes of football? And look at the players now are wandering off. The 5 officials are staying clear of it. Let me tell you, those $250 an hour men, you know, all season long, we talked about the $200 an hour men. Well, they're $250 an hour men. They're staying way clear of it. I'll tell you, Lundo, we almost had a Donnybrook starting out this ball game.
Certainly did, Bob. They wanted to go under the M-Go Blue sign, and the fellas lined up ahead of time to stop them. A few went through, and there was a few elbows thrown, and fortunately, everything calmed down. The cooler heads resolved, and they went around the other side, and there they are. So that's the start of it.
You know, a situation like that, you don't know whether the Michigan players standing in the tunnel down there were more incensed by Ohio State arguing and shoving around the other M-men, or whether Ohio is upset because they weren't allowed to go under the Go Blue. Well, Michigan learns their lessons well 4 years ago. And here they come, the Maize and Blue of Michigan, the winningest team in the history of Big Ten football. 27 Big Ten championships down through the years to Ohio State's 20. You just heard Ricky Leach. There's Leach. There they are. Hick. You name them, they're all down there. Donahue, Downing, Bartling, Powers, Marsh, Clayton, Davis, Huckabee, that'll be the starting backfield. White, Ken, Donahue, Downing, Bartling, Powers, and Marsh across the front. Oh, brother, I can't wait to get into this play-by-play. This is going to be some kind of a football game. Ohio State across the way. As far as the toss of the coin, we aren't sure yet who won the toss of the coin. Everybody was so interested in the confrontation down in the field. But while they're talking things over and placing the ball for the kickoff, suppose we pause 10 seconds for station identification over this, the very Maize and Blue and Scarlet and Gray Football Network. This is a strange thing. We have 7 men in the booth. All of us were so fascinated with that confrontation underneath that go blue that we never watched who won the toss of the coin. We picked up the communication phone to the headquarters here to Will Perry. Will Perry and everyone in the press box was equally hypnotized by that confrontation, so nobody knows who won the toss of the coin. I do know that Michigan will kick off. Our very fine spotter for the opponents, Jimmy Janacek, indicates that Ohio State will receive and Michigan will kick off. So in a matter of seconds, we will have Sebron, Bell, Meter, Hicks, and I'm not sure yet whether it's going to be Wilner or LeBun. And then on the other side of LeBun or Wilner, of course, will be Jolly, the safety man. He'll be flanked by Owens, Howard, Richardson, Pickens, and Harden. Those 11 men kicking for Michigan right now will be number 1, Greg Wilner. So Wilner will kick off. And as we said a moment ago, this is the confrontation we've all been waiting for. Michigan versus Ohio State. The Rose Bowl sitting on that Canham's carpet right now. The Rose Bowl bid for January 1st. Michigan wanting to get back to the scene of the crime of January 1st of 77 when Southern California defeated them 14-6. But that's in the history book. Right now, Michigan is set to kick off. Ohio State has 3 men deep, Springs, Logan, and Griffin. And Ohio, naturally, away from home, are wearing the away from home jerseys, white. They have the scarlet numerals, the scarlet and gray helmets, the scarlet and gray pants, and the white socks. And down there is Greg Wilner and 10 other Wolverines, 106,000 fans along with you and me, and we're all set for the opening kickoff of the 1977 Ohio State-Michigan bloodletting end over hand, a poor kick, a wobbly hits at the 12, taken by Griffin at the 15 to the 20. He's hit at the 23, a beautiful tackle down there at the 23-yard line, made by Gene Bell, number 42, the East Liverpool, Ohio lad. He's a sophomore, moved down under Greg Wilner's opening kickoff, taken by Griffin at the Buckeye 8. He was back out to the Ohio State 23-yard line where Bell dropped him. Check in Michigan's defense: Tedesco, Greer, Graves, Kites, and Anderson. Meter and Simpkins backing it up. Ohio State has Springs, Logan, and Jones in the backfield. Rodney Gerald, one of the fine quarterbacks in the country. Lightning Rod Gerald, they call him. It's the I formation, 2 tight ends and a balanced line. Wide to the left is Herman Jones. It'll be Springs deep and Logan close and Gerald under center, 1st and 10 to 23. Logan keeps the ball. He's over to the 30, the 35. First down on the first play of the ball game goes to the Scarlet and Gray Legions of old Dr. Strange Hayes as Gerald on the option play. Faked the handoff to Logan up the center. Then he faked the pitch off to Springs. He optioned Michigan's corner linebacker, who happened to be the defensive left end. And the defensive left end thought he was going to pitch it, went in. Gerald kept it, skidded around the left side and down to the Buckeye 35-yard line. It Springs deep and Logan close, I formation. There is Logan, hit right there at the 37-yard line. Logan on the second play of the ball game. After Ohio picked up the first down of the contest from their own 23 to the Buckeye 35-yard line, Ohio State has now second down. 7 yards to go for their second first down of the ball game. Ohio State won the toss of the coin. Michigan had to kick off. First toss of the coin that Michigan has lost this year. Wide to the right is Jones. It Springs deep and Logan close. Under center is Rod Gerald with 2 tight ends and a balanced line. Gerald keeps it, hits a fullback. Logan is dropped right there. Beautiful defensive work. It's Dwight Hicks coming in from his wolf spot. He's the Wolfman, the strong safety, playing to the outside of the field. He diagnosed the play, shot 2 would-be blockers, and made his 65th tackle of 1977. Michigan has Meter and Hicks at the linebacking spot. Jolly and Howard at the defensive halfbacks. It's Pickens at safety with Dwight Hicks at the Wolf spot. And Ohio State has Jones, Robinson, Fritz, Vogler at center, Lang, Ward, and Jaco. It's Campbell in at fullback. Now instead of Logan, it's Springs deep. Wide to the left is Jones. Wide to the right is Harrell. It's 3rd and 8. It's a passing situation. A drop back pass by Rod Gerald. Cocks his arm, throws down. He gets away. There's a flag on the play. Gerald to the 40, the 45. He picks up a first down, but there's a flag on the play. And who is it against? A broken field play. A broken play. That should have been a pass. That's what Rod Gerald is most adept at, the broken plays. You remember it was a broken play a year ago by Ricky Leach on the Ohio State 46-yard line that turned the whole game around. When on a broken play, the whole Michigan team went to the left. Ricky Leach found no one to hand off to, ran to the right, and picked up a first down to the Buckeye 26. That's just what happened here on a 3rd down and 8. Rod Gerald, all the receivers were covered. A broken play, picked up a first down. The penalty was against Michigan, refused by the Buckeye. It's Logan and Springs at the tandem of the eye. Logan close and springs deep, and Rod Gerald. Gerald heads off to Logan. He's hit at the Michigan 47-yard line. Remember, this drive started at the Buckeye 35 after the opening kickoff. Ohio State has now moved into Michigan territory for the first time this afternoon. The tackle was made by Jerry Meter, his 92nd tackle of the year, his first of the afternoon. Boy, listen to the crowd here. Defense, defense. Michigan has yielded fewer points in the nation over the last 9 seasons than any other team from coast to coast. And now this Ohio State offense is testing McCartney's monsters rather severely right now. Campbell close and Springs deep, and there it is, Springs with the ball. He's over the 45, breaks a tackle at the 42, hit at the 40 and drop. Ohio State has 3 consecutive first downs on the ground, and we have played exactly 2.5 minutes in the ball game. It's been all Ohio State. They took the opening kickoff. Griffin took it on the Buckeye 8, brought it out to the Ohio State 23. On the first play, they picked up a first down to the Buckeye 35, and they have now moved majestically down Canham's carpet to the Michigan 41-yard line. It's 1st and 10 for the Scarlet and Gray. Up over the ball is Vogler. 2 wide outs, Jones and Harrell. It springs deep and Campbell close. Gerald under center looks at a 5-2-4 defense on a long count from center. Gerald gives to the full, fakes the fullback, pitches off to Springs. Springs is hit at the 40. Beautiful defensive play out there by the 2 wideouts for Michigan. It was Gerald that time, faking and going with his fullback Campbell, and then taking it out and keeping it another 2 steps, and then pitching off to Springs, diagnosing it tremendously well on the defensive cornerback spot was Dom Tedesco, making his first tackle of the afternoon, his 57th of the 1977 season. No score from Ann Arbor, Michigan. 11 minutes and 37 seconds remaining in this, the 74th meeting between Michigan and Ohio State. 2 wideouts this time. Jones, wide out. Harold at the slot. It'll be Springs deep and Campbell close and Rod Gerald under center. Gerald back for his first pass. Pops his arm over the middle. It's caught at the Michigan 35, 30, 29-yard line. It's caught in there by Ron Springs. Ron Springs has just got his first pass of the afternoon and his 7th of 1977 as Rod Gerald has just completed his 48th pass of the year, the first of the afternoon. Coming into the game, Gerald, the quarterback, was 47 out of 81 for 769 yards, 3 touchdowns and interceptions. A very fine quarterback, Gerald, coming into this ball game. He carried the ball 393 times. Check, it's 94 times for 343 yards, but that makes no difference. 1st and 10 at the 29. There's a hand at the spring. Upended at the Michigan 26-yard line. Ohio State moving out here with a very simple type offense. They have 2 tight ends, a balanced line, 1 wide out, sometimes 2 wide out. They have operated from nothing but the I formation. They will operate with a balanced line, 2 tight ends, and they'll run about 87% of the time, and that's just what they've done here this afternoon, because in this drive that started on the Ohio State 23-yard line, they have only passed once. That was a Gerald to Springs pass for a first down to the Michigan 29. Now it's 2nd and 7 at the Wolverine 26-yard line. 2 wide outs. Campbell along with Jones. There is Gerald with the ball. He gives it to the fullback. He's hit right there at the 22-yard line. Paul Campbell, the fullback, who has just carried the ball for the 90th time in the 77 season. Coming into the game, Campbell had carried the ball 89 times for 426 yards. That's an average of 4.5 yards per carry, and he has scored 5 touchdowns. So Ohio State relentlessly driving down this mud sod from their own 23-yard line all the way down to the Michigan 23-yard line. No score as yet. 3rd and 5 on the Michigan 23. 2 wide outs, Jones and Ward. There's a rollout by Gerald. He's going to run with the ball. He's over the 23, the 20. He slips at the 19-yard line. So on 3rd down and 5, Gerald moves it about 2.5 yards to just inside the 20-yard line. And here is the first decision to be made by either coach, which could lead possibly to a score or not a score. In fact, it's so close to a first down, they're giving the officials a nod, and the chain gang moving in from the far eastern sideline. The head linesman over there, Wayne Meese, is bringing in the chain, and Ohio State may or may not have picked up their 5th first down of the ball game. It is Ohio State, 1st and 10 on the Michigan 18-yard line. Boy, these Buckeyes look just as they did in 1969. On the first punt of the game, Ohio State Zelina took it on the Buckeye 40. He was knocked out of bounds at the Michigan 16-yard line. 5 plays later, Ohio led 6-0, and it looked like all Ohio State. But to remember what happened in the following 57 minutes, Michigan came back, dominated the game, and won 24-12. That was 9 years ago. This is 1977. No score from Ann Arbor. Ohio State has moved from their own 23 to the Michigan 18-yard line. High formation, Springs deep, and Campbell close. There is Campbell not have the ball. Gerald keeps it up over the 15 down to the 12-yard line. This Rod Gerald is quick. Boy, is he a quick lad. He's very, very agile. He reminds me, Don, of Cornelius Green, the great quarterback of the Buckeyes of 2 years ago.
Certainly does, Bob. And the couple of keys, it's just been Gerald himself. The pass play, in which was kind of a broken type thing, and then he was able to break it, and again, just to make that first down before this play right here. So he's been the difference, Bob.
Well, for you fans who may have just tuned in, no score from Ann Arbor, Michigan. Ohio State moving toward the flagpole end of the field.
Harry, thank you very much. And we have no score in our ball game, with the Ohio State Buckeyes having run off 12 plays from the opening kickoff, moving from their own 23-yard line. They are now down at the Michigan 12, where it is second down, and Gerald delivers the ball outside to Ron Springs, and he is cut down as he tried to turn the corner. Now, this is what has happened as Ohio State took the kickoff from Michigan, started at the 23, 3 plays for a first down with Gerald getting it, 2 plays first down, Springs getting the first, 2 plays for another as Gerald threw to Springs. Then they had 3 plays for another first down with Gerald taking it over. And now here's Ohio State threatening on 3rd down and 4 from just inside the Michigan 12-yard line. Gerald has run 4 times for 33 yards in this first possession, and they've gobbled up a ton of time. The handoff goes to Paul Campbell, the fullback, number 38 for Ohio State. He is cut down at the 11-yard line. It brings up 4th down now for the Buckeyes. And we'll see whether or not Vlade Anikievskis is sent into the ball game for a field goal try on 4th down. Anikievski is a Littlefoot to Ohio State people because he wears a 7 shoe. He is a soccer player, and he's a very fine kicker. He's hit 44 straight extra points. He's 5 out of 11 on field goals on the year. This is a 29-yard field goal kick. It is into a light breeze, and the kick is good. And so with 7 minutes and 19 seconds to play in the first quarter, the Ohio State Buckeyes lead 3-0.
Saturday, Tabitha becomes a TV weather girl.
Rain? Snow flurries?
She predicted it. A star is born.
You can't take her away from me. I need her.
And Paul's jealous. Then it's a brush-off on Operation Petticoat right after Tabitha.
Watch tonight on ABC.
Introducing Orbit, a very special sugar-free gum for you and your family.
Orbit is special. It's not just another sugar-free gum. Orbit is made with...
Here at Michigan Stadium, a crowd of 106,024 in bright sunshine, 42 degrees. We'll see the Michigan Wolverines get their hands on the football for the first time in this game. Ralph Clayton, Dwight Hicks, and Stanley Edwards are the deep men to receive the kickoff from Ohio State after the Buckeyes marched it down and scored on a 29-yard field goal by Anikievski to take a 3-0 lead with 7:19 to go in the quarter. The Wolverines will finally see the ball. The Rose Bowl and the Big Ten Conference Championship on the line as Clayton takes the kickoff at the 10 and comes to the 22. Duncan Griffin made the tackle for Ohio State. The offensive backfield now for the Michigan Wolverines. Rick Leach, the quarterback, number 7. Harlan Huckleby, number 25, playing with a sore hamstring. Big fullback is Russell Davis. The wingback is Ralph Clayton. And Rick White is the wide receiver. The first offensive play of the ball game by the Michigan Wolverines now from the 22-yard line. Leach gives the ball to Russell Davis, the 220-pound fullback out of Woodbridge, Virginia, and he gets about 3 yards. Up front, the Michigan offensive line, Mike Ken, 244 pounds, Mark Donahue, 245. The center is Walt Downing, 254. Gary Zara, number 69, the other guard, and John Giesler. The offensive tackle, or Geisler, he pronounces it, and Mark Smergy is the tight end, number 82. Caught his first touchdown passes, a couple of them last week. From the 24, on second down and 8, Leach gives it to Huckabee. And he's up near the 25 for about a yard before he is brought down by the middle guard, Aaron Brown of Ohio State. Defensively up front, it's Paul Ross, Byron Cato, Aaron Brown, Gary Doolin, and Kelton Densler. The linebackers for the Buckeyes are Tom Cousineau and Dave Atkins. The defensive secondary, a very good one, Joe Allegro, Michael Guest, Lenny Mills, and Ray Griffin. Keith Jackson along with Ara Parsekian and Bill Fleming from Michigan Stadium. It is third down for the Wolverines and 7 from the 25. Ohio State is leading by a score of 3-0 as Rick Leach throws the ball. He throws for Clayton, and Clayton sliding and losing his balance. The ball was thrown behind him. He tried to get it. He trapped it. The pass is incomplete. And so Michigan is unsuccessful in its first offensive possession. And now the Wolverines will have John Anderson in the punt, averaging just over 40 yards per kick. Harris?
Keith, it was a good drive by Ohio State that led to their field goal, and they made every third down opportunity that they had. And, of course, Michigan has failed here on their first third down conversion.
And John Anderson in the kick. The deep man is Mike Guess for Ohio State. The snap is high. The heat is on. The kick is away. Fair catch is called by number 22, Joe Allegro. Ohio State will get the ball at the 39-yard line, first down, and leading 3-0. This is massive Michigan Stadium. In the sunlight on a 40-degree day, the crowd, as we gave you, 106,024. And according to the record book, that is a new record crowd for a football game here on this legendary old field. 106-24. Michigan with 16 consecutive home crowds of better than 100,000, and it figures that a new record would be set against old foe Ohio State. Buckeyes have the ball first down at their own 39-yard line as Rod Gerald works it down the line and keeps it. And he is shoved out of bounds as he gets it up across the 45. Mike Jolly and Jim Pickens doing the shoving for Ohio State. The Buckeyes wearing the white. Michigan won last year 22-0 in Columbus. Ohio State coming in here, taking the ball in the opening kickoff, and they moved it downfield in that procedure, as you see, with Rod Gerald and Ron Springs, the primary movers of the ball. They moved it for 5 first downs. The Wolverines stiffened, and Anakiewski hit a 29-yard field goal. It's 3-0 Ohio State. It is second down and 3 from the 46 as Gerald puts it up. And he throws it complete to Ron Springs, the second pass that he has completed to Ron Springs in the ball game. And the big tailback gets it across the 50-yard line down in the 47 area of Michigan. The offensive backfield for the Ohio State Buckeyes opened the ball game this way with this junior from Dallas, Texas at quarterback, Ron Springs at tailback. From Coffeyville Junior College, Jeff Logan working at fullback and healthy today. Jim Harrell, the flanker or wingback for the Buckeyes. Here they are on first down at the 47 of Michigan. The play goes inside this time as they bring it off to Jeff Logan, and the senior out of North Canton really got himself whacked at the line of scrimmage. The offensive front for the Ohio State Buckeyes, Jimmy Moore, 99, 248 pounds. Chris Ward, 79, 272. Mark Lang, 220 pounds. Tim Vogler, 228 pounds. Ken Fritz, 234 pounds. Joe Robinson, 256. And Bill Jaco, the tight end, 248. They are big. It is second down and 9 from the Michigan 46. Double wide to the right. Gerald looks downfield. He's under pressure. Running around now, unloads it to Springs across field. Springs looking for help, doesn't get enough. He gets it back to the line of scrimmage, and that should just about do it. Number 55, Dale Keats, was after him, and Steve Graves, the middle guard, 54. They forced Gerald to run for his life, and suddenly he found Ron Springs open, and he hit him. The Michigan defense, Dale Keats, 55, Steve Graves, and Curtis Greer are the big guys who work up front. Ron Simpkins, Jerry Meter, Tom Tedesco, and John Anderson. The inside and outside linebackers with a secondary, Mike Jolly, Derek Howard, James Pickens, and Dwight Hicks. It is now 3rd down and about 10 yards to go for Ohio State at the Michigan 47. 3:54 to go in the first quarter. Gerald keeps the ball. Gerald is good for a first down to the Michigan 36-yard line. And Ara Parsekian, this little fellow from Dallas, Texas, he's 6'1", 174 pounds, is putting on a show.
He's made every 3rd down. Here he is again in crucial situations. You look at the clock. The Wolverines have only had the ball about 2 minutes in this quarter. There's only 3:46 left. And Ohio State is doing what they want to do. Possession the ball, keep it away from the explosive offensive ball club of the Wolverines. Leach is on the sidelines, their best passer, and the defense is being pressured.
You can see the numbers on Gerald for the season. In the game today, he has carried the ball 6 times for 49 yards, and as Ara said, all crucial. First down from the Michigan 36. Gerald still has the ball, has some room. He has great quickness. He's inside the 25 to the 24, and another first down. Ron Simpkins and Mike Jolly brought him down for the Wolverines.
You really can see his speed. It appeared from here that Michigan had that option defense, but all of a sudden Gerald puts on that second burst of speed, and he runs by the defenders. He can really move.
You can see on 7 carries, 60 yards.
And they put the ball up in the air in this first quarter more than the Ohio State Buckeyes are accustomed to.
Springs is out. Paul Campbell is in at the fullback position. Logan shifts over to tailback. The ball is given to the fullback Campbell. He goes from the 24 to the 20 and perhaps close to the 19. John Anderson, linebacker, made the stop. Senior out of Waukesha, Wisconsin.
Here's Anderson, number 86, the wide side end. He's one of the great football players. You can see he's an end flowing clear into the middle to make the play. He's also the Wolverine punter, a real talented athlete.
Just inside the 20. Call it 2nd down and 6 for Ohio State. Buckeyes leading 3-0 and marching again. They've dominated the game. The pitch to Jeff Logan. Logan has some room, and he's down to the 11 before he is popped out of bounds by Mike Jolly, number 16. It'll be another first down for Ohio State.
Ohio State really looks like an efficient offensive machine in this first period here.
The Buckeyes only lost that stunner to Oklahoma at Columbus, a game you saw earlier this season on ABC television. Michigan's only loss, a shutout, 16-0 at Minnesota. With Jeff Logan, hale and hearty, and in this backfield, you can get more speed out of this Ohio State backfield, I think, than any Woody Hayes has ever had. From the 12, let's call it as Gerald. And he's inside the 10 to the 9 and close to the 8 before Simpkins and Pickens can bring him down.
Keith, there was a great example of a discipline by James Harrell, number 11, who was the wideout. He had a perfect opportunity to clip. He backed away from it, and instead of coming up with a 15-yard clipping penalty, the Buckeyes at least are down within field goal range and still have 2 more downs to score a touchdown. That was a great piece of discipline by the wide receiver.
Call it the 8-yard line of Michigan. It'll be 2nd down and a short 7. Springs is back in at tailback, and Logan goes up to the fullback position, and Rod Gerald wants to throw. He is under pressure. He is gone. All the way back at the 18-yard line, and number 95, Curtis Greer, was the man who got him. But number 55, Dale Keats, and number 77, Mike Turgovac, were the people that chased him in that direction so Greer could get him.
I'll tell you, Gerald is really a dangerous guy back here. He can scramble out of it, but this time they kept him contained and, of course, saved a big play.
And Gerald shaken on the play. Time is called. Ohio State leads 3-0.
The last thing you want at a time like this is for your engine.
Again, play resumes. 1:32 to go. First quarter. Ohio State leading 3-0. The football is just inside the Michigan 18-yard line. Rod Gerald shaken up on the last play. Walking back on the field now after being administered to at the sidelines. And he rejoins the Ohio State huddle. At the start of the ball game, when the Buckeyes and Woody Hayes came onto the field, Woody was jostled by some people on the field, and we almost had a little bit of temper break out before we ever got the ball on the tee.
Keith, this is a big down here. What would you do defensively? You can either go after Gerald in anticipation of a pass with 3rd and 16, or lay back off and go into a zone trying to keep him away from the first down. Let's see what the Wolverines do defensively.
3rd and 16 from the 18, and Gerald is whistled to a stop by the officials. The flags are thrown, and it may be that Ohio State took too much time to get the ball. Well, they call illegal procedure on him.
I think, Keith, it looked like the center snapped the ball late. Everybody was moving, and Gerald didn't have the ball to go with it. It was a late snap.
And so they will, I'm sure, be backed up 5 more yards as Michigan does accept the penalty back to just inside their 23-yard line. Now they're beginning to back up out there where perhaps they would put some pressure on Anakievsky's range with the foot.
His longest field goal this year has been 31 yards, and every attempt that he's had outside of 40 yards, he is missed.
Ohio State has had the ball except for 4 plays the entirety of this first quarter, and they lead 3-0 as Gerald comes around on the option. Well, he gambled and got away with it as number 87, William Jaco, comes over to cover the errant delivery of the ball. Gerald actually is very lucky that Michigan doesn't have the ball right there.
That's right. He dealt the ball off and threw the ball behind the trailing back, and of course we're going to see another field goal attempt. This is a good call, I think, on the part of Ohio State. Michigan had to deploy into a pass defensive type coverage, and they thought they'd be able to get outside on the option, but the Wolverines defended well and came up and recovered the ball. Ohio State recovered. Here it is.
42-yard field goal try. No good by Anakievsky. And so he just simply has not been effective at that range this season.
He had plenty of distance on it. He just not have made it a kick longer than 31 yards.
And so Michigan, with some help on the penalty, holds Ohio State and will get the ball trailing 3-0.
There's 85.
Two coaches, Woody Hayes at the left, Bo Schembechler at the right. 46 seconds to go, first quarter. Michigan has the ball for the second time in the quarter. Its second offensive possession of the first period. They've only had the ball for 1 minute and 27 seconds. And Rick Leach delivers it outside to Harlan Huckabee, and he gets 1 yard. Ohio State, leading 3-0, has had the ball 12 minutes and 47 seconds in the first quarter. And it's really quite remarkable, Era, that they don't have more than 3 points.
It really is incredible with the number of plays Ohio State has run, and psychologically, that would be an advantage to Michigan because they've run 26 plays and only scored 3 points.
Michigan has now just run its 4th scrimmage play, or the 5th if you want to count the punt. First downs, Ohio State with 9 and Michigan none. Clock is running toward the end of the first period. Leach gives to Huckabee, and Huckabee is hit by Paul Ross, defensive end, a junior out of Fort Valley, Georgia. He comes up over the top and gets a couple of yards on the lunge. And so the first quarter is done here at Michigan Stadium before a record crowd. And Ohio State leads 3-0. Big old oval called Michigan Stadium in Ann Arbor. And the score, Ohio State 3, Michigan nothing as we begin play in the second quarter. The winner goes to the Rose Bowl, and the word around town is the loser will go to the Sugar Bowl. Michigan right now with the football at the 22-yard line. 3rd down and 8. And Rick Leach back to throw. Gets it off, and it is complete to Clayton. And Clayton, who has been the leading pass receiver for Michigan all season, takes it out to the 48-yard line, and that's the first down of the ball game for Michigan.
Beautifully executed. You see Ralph Clayton, number 22, comes up the field, turns back to the inside. It's really a deep route, and Leach puts it right there, and he's between the defenders. secondary, and that is a big play for the Wolverines.
27 yards. Ohio State secondary has intercepted 22 passes this season. There was nobody close to that one. So the Wolverines now with field position and movement for the first time. Ohio State leading 3-0 as Leach hands it off inside to the big fullback Russell Davis. And he's across midfield, and for the first time in the ball game, Michigan is now in Ohio State territory. The numbers on the first quarter read that way.
Well, you can see that the dominance of the Buckeyes, because they had possession of the ball and they came up with all the critical third down plays. But what just happened on the field with Leach hitting Clayton for that big play to take him out of that poor field position, we've got him past the 50 now.
On 2nd down and 7 from the 49 of Ohio State. Leach gives to Huckabee. Huckabee to the 45 of Ohio State. He gained about 4.
Well, Leach has had a great career thus far at the university. And he's hitting 52%. And one must remember that he's thrown 13 touchdown passes during the course of this 1977 season, whereas Rod Gerald has only thrown 3. So I think if the Wolverines are going to win this football game, it's going to be through the air.
Arlen Huckabee playing with a sore hamstring muscle. And on a cool day, man who depends on quickness and cutting ability can really be a bother. But he so far has looked all right. He's got the ball. And he dives trying to reach for the first down. He runs into Tom Cousinaw, the junior linebacker from Fairview Park, Ohio, and he is close to the first down.
This Tom Cousinaw, he's a real football player. This guy is the number 2 tackler on the team, and he missed a couple of games. If you recall, he got hurt in the Oklahoma game this year and only played 2.5 minutes. And you can see the kind of player he is.
The change on the field to stretch for the first down. Possibly for Michigan. It is. This is trophy day in college football around the country. They're playing Indiana and Purdue for the old open bucket. The axe on the line between Cal and Stanford. The beer barrel between Kentucky and Tennessee. The Bunyan axe between Wisconsin and Minnesota. Here at Michigan and Ohio State, they just seem to play for the Rose Bowl every year.
How many years has it been in a row?
First down for the Wolverines at the Ohio State 42. Huckabee. And he's to the 38 before Gary Julitt can bring him down. Coming up next, you have Texas and Baylor out of the Southwest Conference. Other games around the country, Washington State and Washington, Clemson and South Carolina, Massachusetts and Boston College. Check your local listing. Stand by for more exciting football right after Ohio State and Michigan are finished here in Ann Arbor. That Washington State game will have great bearing on which team might play the winner of this one in the Rose Bowl. 2nd down. And let's call it 6 from the 38. Leach gives the ball to Huckabee, and he is immediately belted. He got about 1 step beyond the line of scrimmage before he was driven into his own people. Dave Atkins, the linebacker, doing the driving.
Exceptionally well defense by the Buckeyes, and one of the reasons that you see both teams, Ohio State and Michigan, in 2 tight ends is that they're trying to control the stunts of the defense. When there's 2 tight ends in there, you can't stun around as much as you have when there's a split end, and both teams have been using a lot of 2 tight end formations.
The ball is just inside the Ohio State 38-yard line. It is 3rd down. They need 6 yards for a first down. Leach to throw. Throws short to the 30. First down, just inside the 30 to Doug Marsh, number 80, a sophomore from Akron.
Looked like the Buckeyes were trying to put pressure on. Here you are with Doug Marsh, a tight end coming across. He's wide open. Either the man that was involved in man-to-man coverage lost him somewhere along the line. The ball was a little low. Had he been able to throw it a little higher, I think he would have gotten additional yardage out of it.
The ball is just inside the 30. First down, Michigan at the Ohio State 30. Leach on an option to Huckabee. Nothing. Lost yardage. Coming across, 94. Dave Atkins, 32, Kelton Densler. That number 32, Densler, has been looking for Rick Leach on every snap of the ball.
Well, I'll tell you, the history of Ohio State is, and Woody defensively, is they like to defense the field. In other words, the two-thirds of the field to the right, in this particular case defensively, and it looks like there's running opportunities to the short side of the field, and on 2 occasions now they've run the option, but Ohio State has been back to the short side and has done an excellent job of stopping the option play.
Call it 2nd and 11 outside the 30. Leach to Huckleby, and Huckleby is tripped up. Cousinall, 36, reaching in. And it is Russell Davis, the fullback. They tried to delay for a moment as Leach came off the snap, giving it to the 220-pounder. But Mr. Cousinall was right there.
Defensively, both teams during the course of the year have done outstanding jobs. Michigan has only given 226 yards a game, and Ohio State 234 yards a game, so they're very comparative statistically.
3rd down, call it 10. Leach looks, throws it short. The pass is dropped by Clayton. I'm not sure that Ralph would have had his first down. He would have had the ball right around the 25, and there were a couple of white shirts coming to get him.
Here's Ralph Clayton crossing underneath inside of the linebackers. You see he gets a bump. And the ball, he should have caught the ball there. It was there. He missed it. And this is what happens in ball games.
And it is a 4th down field goal try. It will be 47 yards with Greg Wilner doing the kicking. Wilner has kicked 3 field goals this year. He misses badly on that one. Ohio State really came flying in to put the pressure on him. The hold did not look too good. The kick misses, and Ohio State continues to lead 3-0.
My copying costs are out.
Back here in Ann Arbor, Michigan now, Ohio State getting the ball at the 20-yard line. 1st down with 10:55 to go in the first half. The Buckeyes lead the Wolverines by a score of 3-0. Greg Wilner missing on that field goal try, and now let's see if the Buckeyes can possess the ball again against the Michigan defense.
Well, at least the Wolverines demonstrated that they can move the ball against the Buckeyes. They passed well on that drive, but relinquished it when they missed the field goal.
James Harrell wide to the open side of the field as Gerald sets and throws, and he's got a man, and the ball bounces in front of the intended receiver, Jimmy Moore. Now let's spend a moment with our colleague Bill Fleming.
All right, Keith, and at South Bend today, Vegas Ferguson on the very first play from scrimmage ran 56 yards against the Air Force, and Notre Dame is leading that one by the score of 7-0.
Notre Dame, of course, thinking about going to the Cotton Bowl. They may make that decision before the day is done. 2nd down and 10 from the 20. Gerald hands it off inside to Jeff Logan, and Logan wiggles his way up to about the 34-yard line, running in heavy traffic. Jerry Meter coming across to help on the tackle for Michigan. Logan has carried 6 times for 22 yards in the ball game.
Keith, I think it's significant, too, that Woody Hayes, on his own 20-yard line, in this second period, elected to put the ball up in the air on 1st down and 10, which is not characteristic of the type of football that he has played. I guess he feels that he's got to come up with some surprises. They had it open, but the ball was not thrown properly by Gerald.
It is 3rd down and 6, and Charles Hunter is number 89 in the ball game, who just missed that pass a moment ago. The ball's loose. That's the 2nd time that Gerald has tried to unload the ball in heavy traffic, and for the 2nd time, he is very lucky not to lose it. Dwight Hicks was right there, messing up the play.
Boy, he was really fortunate on this. His judgment here, he deals the ball out, and there's as many Michiganders there as there are Buckeyes.
Wow, he actually hit a Michigan man in the back with it.
Yeah, that's
number 16,
Jolly.
That's right, Jolly, Mike Jolly. All right, here's the punt now with Horace doing the kicking for the Buckeyes, having shaken off a back injury. The kick goes to Dwight Hicks. Oh, and he almost got to the sidelines for the picket. He almost burned them for 6 points right there. Brought down by Herman Jones. 9:24 to go, first half. Ohio State leads 3-0. Let's go back to that pitch a moment ago by Gerald. You see Hicks pressuring Gerald. The ball is now loose and flying through the air, and it actually bangs into the hip of Mike Jolly, defensive back. And if he had not been spun around by the Ohio State people, the ball might have gone right into his hands.
Right, that was Jolly is the wide side halfback and supported very fast. And it was a bad judgment on Gerald's part, really.
Dwight Hicks returned that 35-yard punt 12 yards. Michigan operating near the Ohio State 44-yard line now. First down, Buckeyes leading 3-0. Russell Davis hits it to the 42 for a couple of yards. And there he is pinned down. His linebackers very active. Cousineau and Dave Atkins, 36 and 94. The Wolverines go back to the huddle now. Roosevelt Smith, a fine freshman back, has had some knee trouble. Harlan Huckleby playing with a pulled hamstring. We may see Stanley Edwards, a freshman tailback, before the day is done. Clayton now comes in and goes into a slot position for Michigan. Leach caught and hit behind the line of scrimmage back near the 44-yard line, and blowing through to get him was Eddie Beeman, the senior out of Cincinnati, Ohio, with some help from Aaron Brown. It was Brown, the middle guard, that put on the pressure and stopped the flow of the play.
They were trying to bring Clayton from the slot position back to the short side to get the option going, but it was just too delayed. They're going to have to, I think, put the ball up there to move the ball against the Buckeyes, at least loosen them up so that they can get their running game going after they do it by their passing.
8:10 to go in the first half. Buckeyes lead 3-0. Third down, 10 for Michigan. Leach back to throw. Throws it short. Passes incomplete and almost intercepted. It bounced right smack off the fingers of Russell Davis into the hands of Kelton Densler, who had dropped into the short zone, and he couldn't hang on to it.
Really a dangerous pass because he wouldn't have come even close to the first down, and he would have been maybe gained 3 or 4 yards on the play, and it was almost intercepted. Densler could have waltzed down the sideline.
Deep now is Mike Guest to receive the punt from John Anderson. On fourth down with 8 minutes to go in the first half. Snap is on the money, and it's a high hanger. Kicked away from Guest. And it takes a Michigan roll. And it rolls to the 9-yard line, and Ohio State will have it first down at the 9. On ABC's NFL Monday Night Football this coming Monday at 9 Eastern Time, the Green Bay Packers and the Washington Redskins. Washington at 5-4, Green Bay 2-7. You'll see it over most of these ABC stations. The Packers and the Redskins. That was a 36-yard punt by John Anderson, but he did what he wanted to do. He hung it up, kicked it away from the returner, and the ball flopped around and rolled dead just inside the Ohio State 10. 7:52 to go, first half. At Ohio State now with the ball is Rod Gerald. Turns and hands it to the fullback, Campbell. And Paul Campbell is buried at the line of scrimmage.
Michigan's got the Buckeyes where they want them, back deep in their own territory, and we always preached when we were coaching, even though we don't have the ball, we're on defense, we're really on offense, because any kind of an error can yield the ball in great favorable field position for you.
Yes, sir. This is where if your defense can really puff up, they can give the offense the ball back in very good field position. Second down. Right about the 10-yard line, and it is Logan hit out around the 11. They might give him the 12. Don Tedesco, number 99 for Michigan on the tackle. It'll be third down, and let's say 8 yards to go for Ohio State.
I think the best thing for Woody Hayes, don't you, Keith, is, at least I would think as a football coach, in a tight game like this, I think I would run the ball and kick the ball back to the Wolverines. The wind's at my back. My defense is playing good. Let's see what they do.
Woody said that the game would be played close to the elbow, and so far it hasn't really. But oh, what a play. Blowing in is Curtis Greer. He looked like untouched by the blocker, and he really ate up Rod Gerald.
Looked like someone blew an assignment because he came right straight across and grabbed Gerald, and Gerald was fortunate he didn't fumble the football.
The ball is put down at the 9-yard line. There's a little hot air balloon ride that's taking place in this near wintry weather in Michigan. It is fourth down. And Orris will be punting out of his end zone. So Michigan should get very good field position. The kick is away, and it's a beauty.
Sure is.
Hicks goes all the way back to the 47. Had a little bit of a hold, but couldn't break it loose. That was a 44-yard hanging kick. 5:56 to go, first half. Michigan has the ball. Woody Hayes on the sidelines, obviously not terribly pleased with the way things have gone in recent moments for his Buckeyes. Michigan now with the football, first down at the Ohio State 46-yard line, and Stevenson goes in motion to the wide side of the field. Rick Leach gives the ball to Russell Davis, the fullback, and he bangs for 5 before they can wrestle him down. Roosevelt Smith, number 26, 198-pound sophomore out of Detroit, is now in at tailback. The young man I mentioned a while ago is having a very sore knee, but he's on the field and playing, and he's very dangerous.
Tell you, running inside against Brown, Aaron Brown, number 55, that middleman, is no easy chore.
Second down and 5 from the 41 of Ohio State. Gene White is in motion to the open side of the field, and Leach gives it to Smith. And he's just close to his first down. He is stacked up by Paul Ross and Gary Bulin. Smith carried the ball 46 times for an average of right at 6 yards per carry. But he's a player of the future here at Michigan. They're very optimistic about what he can do for them.
Bo, I was talking to Bo Schembechler yesterday, and he said he's a fine runner, but he's really had a lot of problems with his knee during the entire year.
It is 3rd and 1. Smith. Like I said, he's dangerous. He goes to the 29 for a first down before Ray Griffin, the safety man, can get him.
Well, he got some good blocking that time. That's the best offensive rush that the Michigan team has had off the ball, offensively. Here's Cousineau. You can see the blocking here. It looks like Doug Marsh, their number 80, does a job on him. That's why that play went.
It's first down. At the 29 of Ohio State, Leach gives it to Smith. Not a whole lot there, a couple of yards before he is wrestled out by Dave Atkins, the linebacker for Ohio State. So once again, as Ara said earlier, Woody Hayes likes to defense the field, and Michigan, figuring that perhaps they could outnumber the Ohio State people, came back to the short side. Didn't get much out of it.
No, they've run that about 4 times, and they just haven't made any yardage whatsoever.
Football is a game of leverage. If you can get 8 people against 6 of theirs, you should be able to make something work. Second down and 8. Leach wants to throw it. Looks at Clayton. And time runs out as Byron Cato, Jr. out of Lorain, Ohio, ran him down. Clayton had gone deep, cut across the end zone, and then was coming back. And Leach perhaps did not have the opportunity to see him open. Let's watch him.
Well, what happened, Leach had to scramble out. You can see Clayton comes down. He's bumped to the inside by the defense. You can see that he has a little seam there, but I think that it was about this time that Leach had to scramble out to the far sideline.
You do not want to be throwing the football in the neighborhood of Ray Griffin, Archie's brother, too often. I tell you, Ray is a heck of a player. It is 3rd down and 12. Leach loops it up. Smith's out there. Got it. Inside the 10. First down. Mike Guest saved the touchdown.
Beautiful throw by Leach. He looped that ball up over everybody. It was as well thrown as a quarterback can throw it. He rolls out to his left, looking for a receiver. Smith comes out of the backfield, and nobody's on him, and you can see that the ball was thrown perfectly.
So Roosevelt Smith, swinging out of the backfield, gives Michigan a first down at the Ohio State 8-yard line on that pass reception. The first real threat of the ball game for the Wolverines with 3 minutes to go in the second quarter.
You know, Keith, keep in mind that Rick Leach has thrown 13 touchdown passes during the course of the year.
backed off that snap there. I take just a moment, Ara, because most of the Ohio State partisans are down in that end of the stadium, and there we're not giving him any comfort. This is the preceding play. Stevenson was wide open, but the play went instead to Smith.
He was open, too.
All right, first down, goal to go from the Ohio State 8-yard line. Russell Davis to the 6.
Oh, it gets tough down in here inside that 10-yard line.
Woody Hayes looking on. Ohio State leading 3-0. Michigan threatening. This program, a special exclusive of ABC Sports. Let's pause 5 seconds to allow our local stations to identify themselves.
Channel 62, WTVQ-TV, Lexington.
Second down, goal to go. Michigan at the Ohio State 6. Buckeyes have allowed only 2 touchdown passes all season. Only Arkansas has allowed fewer. 1. Leach gives it. Davis. He's to the 1. Tremendous block on the left side by Mark Donahue, number 60 for the Wolverines. The football is just beyond the 1-yard line, where it is 3rd and goal to go for the Wolverines, and Bo Schembechler's on the phone.
Ohio State has made a number of substitutions to go to their goal line defense. And this gets tough down in here.
And now time called by Ohio State. Tom Cousinall called the time and goes to the sidelines. He wants to talk to the defensive planner on the Ohio State side of the field with 1:24 to go in the first half. Time is up. Ohio State dominated the first quarter, holding the ball 12:57. In the second quarter, Michigan has turned it around and had the ball 10 minutes and 9 seconds to only 3:27 for Ohio State. A big moment here. Michigan bidding for the lead on 3rd and goal to go from just beyond 1 yard. It is Smith. It is touchdown, Michigan. Try for the extra point by Greg Wilner is good. And with 1:20 to go in the first half of play, the Michigan Wolverines now have gone on top by a score of 7-3. Wilner now 39 out of 40 in extra points. Anakievsky for Ohio State hasn't missed an extra point all season. So we've got 2 fine kickers from close range, but not that strong from outside the 25-yard line.
Good drive by Michigan. The key play in that drive, of course, was the pass from Rick Leach to Roosevelt Smith, and the Wolverines seemed to have sparked up when Smith came in there.
Now Ohio State will accept the kickoff as the Wolverines capped a 46-yard march in 9 plays and go back to the Michigan defense that played solid, tough football to contain Ohio State, forcing the Buckeyes to kick out of the end zone, got good field position, and they cashed it in. Wilner will kick off to Ray Griffin, the deep man. Jeff Logan and Ron Springs are back there with him, but Griffin's the man they want to get the ball. 1:20 to go in the first half. The Rose Bowl and the conference championship on the line. The ball is hooked over to Ron Springs. And the Ohio State tailback brings it out to the 30, where it'll be first down, Buckeyes, with 1:15 to go in the first half. Ohio State has had 2 possessions in this quarter for 6 plays and 2 punts after totally dominating the first quarter.
Incredible the way momentum switches and changes in the football game, and certainly we've observed it in the first 2 quarters of this typical Ohio State-Michigan encounter.
Washington and Washington State will play this afternoon. If Washington can beat Washington State, they stay in the hunt for the host spot in the Rose Bowl against the winner of this game. Rod Gerald gives the ball to Jeff Logan. He blows it over the right side and gets about 8 yards. Ron Simpkins brought him down. He took it behind Ken Frinson and Joe Robinson. That's 234 pounds and 256 pounds. Logan now 33 yards on 8 carries.
And it appears the Buckeyes are letting the clock run. They have 1 timeout left.
They send James Harrell to this side of the field, the open side, on 2nd down and 2 with 45 seconds to play in the first half, and it's Logan again, running out of bounds to stop the clock after getting the first down up at the 42-yard line. Coming up at halftime, the Fireman's Fund flashback. Ohio State, Michigan, looking at the past contests, this great rivalry. Bill Fleming will have that story for you. A lot of entertaining moments with Bill at halftime, so stay tuned. That's the first down of the second quarter for Ohio State. The clock is stopped at 41 seconds to play. Gerald wants to throw. Michigan won't let him. Knock him down at the 40.
Didn't appear that they made a run action fake, and Gerald didn't get away from the line of scrimmage very far, and they were able to contain him. Boy, he's dangerous. He can scramble out just any time.
He's dangerous, but in his last 5 handlings of the ball, the last 5 carries, if you want to put it that way, he has lost 20 yards. 30 seconds exactly as the Buckeyes call time, their last timeout, trailing 7-3.
NCAA college.
Dangerous Baylor Bears. How many times have we seen the Bears under Grant Taft rise up and give top-ranked teams a bunch of trouble? Frank Rose will be joined by Chris Schenkel as they tell you the story of the Texas-Baylor game and the other games around the country. Of course, that big one out on the West Coast, Washington State, Clemson in South Carolina, playing down south, and Massachusetts against Boston College. Right now, the score is Michigan 7, Ohio State 3, with 30 seconds to play in the first half. Ohio State dominating the first quarter, Michigan dominating the second quarter. A record crowd of 106,024 rising to their feet as Rod Gerald goes deep to throw. He throws it short. It goes to Springs. That's the third pass that Springs has caught from Gerald in the game, and he runs out of bounds, stopping the clock with 23 seconds to go in the first half. And he has a first down.
Good move by Ron Springs. Same number of Ron Springs, same seconds left to go in this half. And it's also the same pass that Gerald hit Springs with earlier in the first quarter. Michigan's had trouble defending it.
The football now is at the Michigan just inside the 47. First down. Rod Gerald throws it over the middle. The pass complete to Jones. Herman Jones going high to make the reception between 2 Michigan defenders. That'll be another first down for Ohio State at the Michigan 32. The clock stops at 17 seconds to play.
Just to move the chains, Chris. Keith.
It's all right, Nick. First down. Gerald throws it out of bounds.
I was in a huddle. I knew they had to throw a quick pass out there to stop the clock, which they did. And if they can get another first down, that possibly could kick a field goal.
It'll be 2nd down and 10. The Ohio State offensive decision has been made now with only 10 ticks remaining on the clock at the Michigan 32-yard line. And they will go for 3. Anakievsky in to try a field goal. The ball will be put down at the 39. That is a 49-yard kick. He has never made one from that distance. He will not make this one either. And so with 6 seconds to play in the first half. Michigan gets the ball back. The Wolverines have the lead at 7-3.
Field goals have decided this game on more than one occasion, as we will see in the Fireman's flashback.
Yeah, back to the 14-11 ball game. Remember that one, the 10-10 ball game, the 12-10 ball game with
right.
Clavin?
You bet.
Michigan probably will just snap the ball, start the clock, and go to the clubhouse with a 7-3 lead. We'll see. Six seconds remaining, and that's exactly what they do. As Rick Leach takes the snap, runs out the time. And at the end of the first 2 periods of play in the 74th meeting between Ohio State and Michigan, the Wolverines lead the Buckeyes by a score of 7-3. Remarkable similarity in the records of both teams, offensively, defensively, everything about them. And the game reflects that. Halftime score, 7-3, Michigan.
World's record for the dash to the dressing room. He was the first man to hit the midfield stripe going across the field, so he had no opportunity at all to get a word with him. Hopefully we'll be more lucky with Woody Hayes coming out for the start of the second half. So we'll have the bands coming up in just a moment. During the past 9 years, when Bo Schembechler and Woody Hayes have been on opposite sides of the field, 8 of those games have decided the Big Ten Championship and the Rose Bowl. As far as the personal score is concerned, Woody leads with 4 wins. Bo has 3, and 1 game has wound up in a tie. Today's Fireman's Fund Flashback is brought to you by Fireman's Fund Insurance. And Fireman's Fund Insurance is brought to you by an independent agent near you. Perhaps Bo's biggest win was in 1969 here in the Michigan Stadium. Ohio State was ranked #1, was riding a 22-game winning streak, and was being called the team of the century. When it was all over, the final score was Michigan 24, Ohio State 12. Captain Jim Mandich rode on the shoulders of his teammates, reaching out, touching as many people as he could, savoring that moment. However, the next year in Columbus, Ohio, it was the Buckeyes who did the savoring. They won 20-9, winning the undisputed Big Ten title and a trip to the Rose Bowl. The Buckeyes had waited 12 agonizing months for revenge, and they got it, with Rex Kern leading the way. And then, after the team split the next 2 years, they were back in Ann Arbor for the 73 game. It looked for sure as if the Wolverines would win that one. Twice with the score tied at 10-10, Michigan's Mike Lantry had a chance to give the Wolverines a victory with a field goal. However, fate was to deal him a cruel blow. This kick, the final attempt, was wide. The game ended in a 10-10 tie. And in that much discussed and controversial vote, Ohio State was awarded the trip to the Rose Bowl. Unbelievably, the same thing happened a year later in Columbus. Again, Mike Lantry had a chance to win the game with a field goal. With 18 seconds to go, Ohio State was leading 12-10. Lantry in again. This time, his kick was closer, but it was wide to the left. The Buckeyes had won a share of the title, and again, the trip to Pasadena. Nowhere in the land was there a more shattered person than Mike Lantry, a Vietnam War veteran whom fate had dealt a second cruel blow. The Buckeyes came to Ann Arbor in 75 to hand Michigan its only Big Ten loss at home under Bo Schembechler. A convincing 21-14 win, led by Archie Griffin. It was another outright Big Ten title, another trip to the Rose Bowl for the Buckeyes. Then came 76, and Michigan won 22-0. Bo was carried off the field. Michigan had gained a share of the title and the coveted trip west.
You know, for years, we've tried our very best to burn in one insurance symbol, the big red fire hat of Fireman's Fund. But right now, there's another even more important symbol we'd like to burn in. And here it is. It's the sign of the person who sells our insurance, the independent agent. Independent because each one represents several companies, not just ours. Which means each one is free to pick and choose, to hunt, until he or she finds the very best policy and the very best price. In other words, independent agents don't work for an insurance company. They work for you. So when you need insurance, naturally, we hope your agent will recommend Fireman's Fund. But in any event, we recommend this. Whenever you need protection, make sure you look for this sign, the sign of the independent agent, and you know you won't get burned. In the yellow pages, Fireman's Fund Insurance Companies, subsidiaries of American Express.
NCAA college football excitement continues later today with an outstanding regional lineup featuring the #1 team in the country, the unbeaten Texas Longhorns against the Baylor Bears. Check local listings for the game in your area and stay tuned for more NCAA college football today on ABC.
The famous Ohio State Buckeye Marching Band is on the field right now in Ann Arbor, putting on what is always billed as the Battle of the Bands. They're half of it anyway, and the theme of the Ohio State Band today is Beatlemania. The Beatles, as you probably know, wrote about 200 songs ranging from the beautiful to sometimes the ridiculous. Songs like Yesterday, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, with a little help from my friends, Penny Lane, I Want to Hold Your Hand. Right now, it's Norwegian Wood. And the drum major is a man they say is the finest drum major ever to wear the Ohio State colors, Dwight Hudson. Dr. Paul Drostein conducting the Ohio State Band, and this is Dwight Hudson, the drum major. Finale, Beatles classic, one of the all-time classics of popular music. No Beatles show could end without the playing of Hey Jude. Two of the great college bands in America. You've just seen one of them, the Ohio State Marching Band, putting on a fantastic show here in the Michigan Stadium. This Ohio State-Michigan game is being brought to you by Texaco, working to keep your trust for 75 years by bringing you quality gasoline and other fine automotive products. By all the new 1978 Chevrolets, now at your Chevrolet dealers everywhere. By Poulin Chainsaws, with a full line of quality chainsaws for any size job, including the revolutionary new Poulin Micro 25. and by Pizza Hut. When it's pizza you want and nothing else will do, let yourself go to Pizza Hut and take your pick of our thick and chewy pizza or our thin and crispy pizza. Now let's pay a short visit to the campus in Columbus, Ohio.
A special place. A place where diversity and common interest merge into a sense of community. It's half as old as the nation and as young as a new idea. It's a cosmopolitan place with people from every state and more than 80 nations. And it's a cultural center with more performing arts than all but a handful of cities. It's a place with its own publishing house, 3 newspapers, radio and television stations, and a library system that's among the world's largest. But most important, it's a place where people come to learn. A place where Aristotle and Descartes, Adam Smith, and John Maynard Keynes have not been forgotten. Where scientific breakthroughs are only a research project away. It's a place where people prepare to make their way in the world. And when they leave, they're different, changed. That's what's supposed to happen at an institution of higher learning, and at Ohio State University, that's what happens.
Well, the theme of the Michigan Band at halftime today is roots. It seems that everybody is tracing their roots these days. And what you're seeing here is the first stop of the Michigan Band at Stonehenge Stadium in England. And, of course, the Cavemen are the ones who were the original marching band of the University of Michigan. I'm sure that the Ohio State Rooters would enthusiastically support that statement. Anyway, the band performs the first marching arrangement ever to be unearthed. After that, they go to the Colosseum in Rome, and we get the interpretation of how the band sounded in those days as the Emperor comes into the stadium. And of course, you will note that you're listening to the strains of the victors as it would have sounded in ancient Rome. Moving back up into a little more modern times, the further research of the Michigan ancestry of the band takes them to New England. That famous painting of the fife player, the flag bearer, the drummer. And we will hear the version of Yankee Doodle, kind of offbeat, as the Michigan Band traces its ancestry here on November the 19th, the site of the 74th meeting between Ohio State and Michigan. Michigan leading it at halftime 7-3. that's how the band sounded during colonial times. Now as the band will swing into another formation, we're going to take this moment for a rather important, significant message. Keith Jackson was recently in Cincinnati, Ohio, to visit what is the beginning of a historic part of the college football scene. It's the National Football...
Located at Kings Island, Ohio, just north of Cincinnati. Private industry is building this, and why shouldn't it? Because private industry has drawn from the game of college football.
We have the 50th anniversary of this great Michigan stadium. It was 50 years ago that Fielding H. Yost dug the hole that was the beginning of the Michigan stadium. You see Mr. Bob Lund on the field. He has just driven a brand new Chevrolet onto the field here, a 78 model. He is, of course, the general manager of Chevrolet division. In the foreground there is Al Wistert, former All-American. On the field also, Fritz Chrysler, former coach of Michigan, former athletic director, as well as Benny Osterbahn, Ron Kramer, All-American. And behind Mr. Lund there is Bill Dufek, who was injured. He's the fellow with the letter sweater on the letter jacket there. He was an All-America offensive tackle before he was injured in the first practice of the season, and will get one more year of eligibility. So you'll see Mr. Dufek very much in evidence next year. So the Michigan band leaves the field here at halftime. We're just about ready to get back to more football, and we'll be back here in the Michigan Stadium right after this message.
At halftime, the two teams coming back onto the field as the bands conclude their performance, with Michigan leading Ohio State by a score of 7-3. The Wolverines gathered there on their sideline. Ohio State across the way, they're having their final moment of talk. Michigan is to receive the football. There's the scoring summary of the first half. Anna Kievsky with a 29-yard field goal in the first quarter to lead it 3-0 for Ohio State. In the second quarter, the Wolverines got it moving. Ohio State dominating the first quarter. Michigan the second quarter. Michigan's touchdown coming on Roosevelt Smith's jam over the middle from a yard to lead at halftime 7-3. Now let's go to Bill Fleming.
Willie, let's get a quick word with you before the start of the second half. What are your observations about the first 30 minutes?
We won the first quarter. They won the second. They did a great job of defensing us down near the goal line. We only came up with 3 points. They came up with 7. That's the difference.
Let me ask you a question. Were you hurt when somebody hit you before the game? We saw the...
No.
Okay.
He is so wound up.
Anybody hit me?
Oh,
don't play those things.
No.
We football out here. Forget it.
Well, that's Woody Hayes. He said nobody hit me.
I love it.
I don't think he even felt it, Keith.
No, I don't think he did either, Bill. He came out of that tunnel before that ball game. He was about 19 feet in the air. There are the numbers at halftime.
Well, you can see the dominance in the first downs, but the playing time was equaled up. As Woody said, they won the first quarter, and Michigan won the second. The score is 7-3, and there's very little statistically to point out outside of the fact that there are no turnovers, and there was only one 5-yard penalty in the entire first half. Good football.
The middleman, as Ohio State's ready to kick off now, with Orris. Middleman for Michigan will be Clayton, number 22, Ralph Clayton. Clayton will not get the ball. It'll bounce over and into the end zone and beyond the end line as Stanley Edwards, that big freshman from Detroit, watched it go beyond the field of play. Rick Leach and either Harlan Huckabee or Roosevelt Smith at tailback, Russell Davis at fullback, Ralph Clayton the winger, and Rick White the wide receiver for Michigan. It'll be Smith at the tailback. Along the offensive front for the Wolverines, it's Ken Donahue, Downing, Sarah, Geisler, Smergy. First play of the second half, with Michigan owning the ball and leading Ohio State 7-3. Rick Leach, the quarterback, gives it to Smith, and he runs right in between a couple of Buckeyes and gets 2 yards, maybe 3 out of the play defensively now for Ohio State. As we begin the second half of play, Paul Ross, defensive end out of Fort Valley, Georgia. Byron Cato, a defensive tackle out of Lorain, Ohio. Aaron Brown from Warren, Ohio. The middle guard, Eddie Beeman out of Cincinnati. At tackle, Kelton Danzler from Warren, Ohio at defensive end. Tom Cousino from Fairview Park, Ohio. Dave Atkins from Xenia, Ohio. Ball at the 23-yard line. Make it second down and a long 7. Stevenson in motion. Leach looking to somebody to help him. He's got room on the sidelines, and he's got a first down for the Wolverines up near the 34-yard line. The secondary for Ohio State involved in that last tackle. They include Joe Allegro, a cornerback. He's from West Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Mike Guess is from Columbus, Ohio. Lenny Mills is from Miami, Florida. And Ray Griffin is from Columbus, Ohio. A lot of Ohio folks on that Ohio State team.
Leach got outside of the contain that time and, of course, picked up yardage scrambling.
Right near the 34 as Leach gained 12 yards to give the Wolverines a first down. Russell Davis over the right side, running behind Geisler and Zara and Cousineau. Makes the tackle. Tom gets him up around the 37-yard line. Davis has now carried 7 times in the game for 21 yards. Membership of the Ohio State band moving up through the tunnel on the way to storing their instruments and coming back to the sidelines to help make some noise in behalf of their troops. The passing comparison between Leach and Gerald in the ball game. It is second down and about 6 yards to go for Michigan as Leach drops the throw. Well, I'll tell you this, he had Roosevelt Smith out there all by his lonesome to get him into a one-on-one against Allegro, and he just simply didn't hit him with the ball.
Yeah, well, I couldn't tell whether or not that ball was deflected or it was just a poor throw because he was really wide open, and that's unlike Leach because he generally delivers.
And so the ball is put down at the 37-yard line where it is third. Third and a short 7 or a long 6. However you like to read it, with 13-11 to go, third quarter. And Michigan on top 7-3. Winner goes to the Rose Bowl. Loser, we hear, goes to the Sugar Bowl. That should be announced later tonight. Leach to throw, going to get some pressure. Pass is off this time. Pass is incomplete. It was intended for number 80, Doug Marsh. And just as the ball came into Marsh's reach, he took a whack from Joe Allegro. We've only had one penalty in the ball game so far. That was a 5-yard illegal procedure call against Ohio State. It's been roundly contested, but cleanly so. Mike Guess, number 12, back now to receive the punt from John Anderson of Michigan on 4th down and 7. Buckeyes should get pretty decent field position out of this. We'll see how well Anderson hits it. Snap is back. Kick is away. I'll tell you, a cannon shot by Anderson sends Guess all the way back to the 10. And the Wolverines get him at the 16. It was a 52-yard pick. And he hung it up there, Era Parsekian, almost 5 seconds. Offensively for Ohio State, Gerald will open quarterback. Ron Springs and Jeff Logan in the I formation with James Harrell, the flanker. Offensively up front, it'll be Moore, Ward, Lang, Vogler, Fritz Robinson, and Jaco. And it's Ohio State at the 16 as Anderson boomed a 52-yarder. Spring. Fumble. Michigan gets the ball. Ron Simpkins, number 40.
Ron Springs fumbles the ball, and that's the kind of break in a ball game like this that can change the momentum and the outcome.
Steve Graves knocked the ball loose. Number 54, and Simpkins got it. And Michigan makes a break for itself. First down at the Ohio State 20. Ohio State, a slight considered favorite. Michigan will spend a timeout as Rick Leach will come to the sidelines to talk. They want to cash this opportunity in with 12:52 to play in the third quarter. We'll be right back.
Bob Hope on the bridge of a...
Which spend the timeout with 12:52 to go in the third quarter, but as I said, they want to cash in this opportunity, and there was indecision in the ranks. Then it was perhaps the proper thing to do, we shall see. First down at the Ohio State 20. Leach keeping. Inside the 10. Griffin and Adkins and Allegro finally get a hold of him. But it was a strong run.
See, what happened on the play is Ohio State was in man-to-man coverage, and the receivers went downfield and drove the secondary back out of there, and Leach was able to make good yardage on it.
He got 11 yards to the 9, where it is first and goal to go. 4 downs from the 9. 12.5 minutes to go, third quarter. White in motion. Davis, the fullback, to the 3. Oh, he had a hole over the right side.
Beautifully
behind Downing and Zara.
It was a trap play, and Davis just popped right through that little opening he had in there, and it was just a well-executed play. Watch this right here. You see the left guard, Donahue, come across. They give the ball to Davis, and he springs through there with quickness and speed, and he's down to the 3 or 4 yard line.
Bartnick is in there. He pulled out and had the hole, and they almost got the touchdown. Just inside the 4, second down and goal, and it is Davis. This time there's a little more of a crowd as he sticks his head in there and runs into Byron Cato and Aaron Brown. He got a yard.
Now, Brown closed down that time out of the goal line defense and shut the same play. They ran the same play, and this time Brown closed it tight.
It is third down and goal to go from just inside the 3. They had their first and goal at the 9. This is third down. Leach. Touchdown. Michigan recovers the fumble by Springs at the 20. They take it in for the touchdown. Wilner for the extra point. 39 out of 40 and 40 out of 41 this season. So with 11 minutes and 2 seconds to play in the third quarter, the Michigan Wolverines are leading the Ohio State Buckeyes 14-3.
Leach runs the option. He fakes the ball to Davis up the middle, comes on down the line, gets good blocking from the left side of the Wolverine offensive line. You can see Leach now makes a good move there, starts in, now he cuts back and dives for the goal line. You see where the ball, he extends out, the ball does cross the plane, and it's the second touchdown. And of course, you can see why every coach in America is fearful of the turnover, because that's exactly what cost the Buckeyes the second touchdown.
Mark Smirgy, tight end, with a big block to help Rick Leach along the way. And now the Wolverines will kick off to Ohio State. And the Buckeyes are down 14-3 in a ball game that a lot of people thought they would win. Jeff Logan, Ron Springs, Ray Griffin. The deep people, Griffin right there, number 44, the man in the middle. Greg Wilner, number 1, a junior out of Miami Beach, Florida, will kick it off. He hammered it. Griffin will bring it out. Ray Griffin runs into trouble up around the 15-yard line as Wilner, the kicker, came down to get a piece of the action. Defensively now for the Michigan Wolverines. This is how the big guys look who work in the trenches. Dale Keats, number 55, tackles. Steve Graves, who caused that fumble a little while ago. Curtis Greer, who's played well today. The linebacking core, Ron Simpkins, who recovered the fumble. Jerry Meter, Dom Tedesco, and John Anderson. James Harrell and Herman Jones, double wide receivers. And they're both wide to the open side of the field as Rod Gerald comes down the line on the option. Gives it to Ron Springs, and Springs hammers as he comes outside the 20 to the 21 by Curtis Greer. In the defensive secondary, Mike Jolly is number 16 at defensive halfback. Derek Howard, number 10. Jim Pickens, number 18. And Dwight Hicks, number 17.
Keith, this puts the Buckeyes in a tight position. They're 14-3 behind, 11 points, and their strong suit is their running game, but the running game eats up the clock. And they may be forced out of their game plan and put the ball in the air to go the long way.
2nd and 4, it is Springs. He's got the first down as he runs it out to the 28-yard line with Paul Campbell in there at fullback blocking for him. Now Ohio State has a little more breathing room, and here's Bill Fleming.
All right, Keith, and coming up on Thanksgiving afternoon, the Arkansas Razorbacks, leading SMU 14-0 in the second quarter, will be taking on Texas Tech, a game you'll see here on ABC at 2:30 Eastern Time, a key game in that Southwest Conference battle. Okay.
You'll join us for a little holiday fun out of Lubbock, Texas. Rod Gerald down the line, caught from behind by the middle guard, Steve Graves, who is having a heck of a ball game.
He sure is. He's quick. He got penetration that time, and before Gerald could get out of his tracks there, he nailed him for a loss.
Graves is a 218-pound senior out of Cleveland, Ohio, playing in Michigan. The play is coming in from the bench now with 9:30 to play in the third quarter, and Michigan on top 14-3. Herman Jones comes wide to the right for Ohio State. Gerald sets up to throw it. Goes the other way with it, and the pass is complete to William Jaco, a big 6'5", 248-pounder from Toledo. And that will be a Buckeye first down.
Good throw and a good catch, and they've got a good drive on here. A lot of substitutes coming in here for Woody Hayes. As Jaco just releases outside, they have the slot back going right down the middle. And you can see the lead is just right. He jumps up and catches, makes a good catch of the ball.
And it's first down at the 42 for Ohio State. Ball goes for Harrell. He's wide open. First down, Ohio State. At the Michigan 26-yard line, he got away from Mike Jolly.
Well, that's a big play for the Buckeyes.
33 yards.
I tell you, they were in a double zone that time, and the corner man didn't get enough of a piece of him. He doesn't even touch him here, and he goes right up the sideline. You see Harrell comes right up the sideline, and Gerald finds him. Good throw, but it was a defensive error because I think he was supposed to bump him. I think Mike Jolly was supposed to bump him there.
Gerald now 7 of 9, 93 yards. Ron Springs to the tight side of the field to the 20 for the better part of 6 before Ron Simpkins makes the tackle for Michigan.
Well, this isn't the first time, Keith, that the Buckeyes have driven down into the Michigan territory. In the first quarter, they were down here twice and came up with only a field goal. And, of course, let's see whether or not the Wolverines can tighten up like they did in the first quarter.
Logan is in the backfield with Springs now as Campbell goes out. Gerald, the quarterback, double wide to the left side with Harrell in the slot. And Gerald going along the line. He's going to keep it. And pay for it.
Boy, hit him. Woo! He really got hit.
He may not have his first down, as Jim Pickens was the first of the Wolverine tacklers to get there, senior out of Sylvania, Ohio. The ball is at the 12. They've got to go just inside the 11. It is 3rd and a yard and a half.
He ran right by number 99, Dom Tedesco. Looked like Tedesco was going to grab him for about a yard gain, but he just put on the jets and ran right by him.
3rd and a long yard. Out of the full house backfield, they give it away to the man in the middle. And it is Paul Campbell for an Ohio State first down right about the Michigan 12. So the Buckeyes stung by their turnover and the Michigan touchdown, down by 11 points, have come swarming back.
Tell you, what a drive they started at their own 15-yard line when Griffin took the ball and tried to run it out. I thought maybe it might have been bad judgment, but here they are. They've moved right down the field.
Ball is just inside the Michigan 12. First down, Ohio State. Full house backfield, and Gerald is caught behind the line of scrimmage. It is 95, Curtis Greer, and that's got to be about 4, maybe 5 solos for him in the ball game.
Seems like about 3 times now that he's attempted to go to his left, and he's been caught each time. You see here, is that Curtis Greer?
Yes, 95.
95. He gains to the inside. He stunts, and he's obviously missed. Someone missed a block in there because he came clean.
And so there's a loss of 2 yards. Back to the 14. Gerald coming around with it. Gives it away this time to Logan, and Logan is cut down by Jolly. Mike Jolly is a defensive play for Michigan, and Woody now prowling the sideline.
Come up with the big plays when they've been tested. The Wolverines have. They've got third down and long yardage now, and each time that Ohio State gets down in here, Michigan tightens up.
The ball is sitting on the 14-yard line of Michigan. It is 3rd and 12 for a first down. Actually, just a little more than 12. Got to go inside the 2 to get their first down. I think Ohio State backing away from the ball, and they're talking now to a couple of the Michigan players. John Anderson, number 86. Looks like John Anderson needed a little bit of repair or something.
Oh, boy, Bo is really high on that Anderson. He says he's a great one.
This is the 11th play of this march by Ohio State that started back on the 15, just outside the 15-yard line. There's no timeout being charged here to either team. Now the clock starts to move on 3rd down and 12 from the Michigan 14-yard line.
The man-to-man coverage.
Rod Gerald in trouble. Tries to throw it away and can't do it.
They went to a blitz situation.
Simpkins got the quarterback. There's no more intentional grounding. Linebackers were all coming. Jerry Meter, 46, really firing through there and ran him right into Ron Simpkins.
On the backside, he was trying to escape to the left, and of course there was so much penetration, he tried to come back to his right, but the whole Michigan team was in there. They went to man-to-man coverage and came with 7 people, and the Buckeyes could not pick it up.
And the reason grounding was not called there, if you want an explanation of it, is he was down before he threw it.
Yeah, I think he blew the whistle on him.
44-yard field goal try. He's never made one that long.
Maybe there.
Yep. He's got it. So the little man, Laviani-Kievsky, knocks one through for 44, and it's now 14-6, Michigan. Clayton, number 22, is the deep man for Michigan as Ohio State, after the 44-yard field goal by Anikievsky, will kick it off. Just for the sake of numbers and interest for you, Gerald had 64 yards on his first 8 carries in the game. But now his net yardage is only 31 yards in 17 carries. That's how well Michigan has put the heat on it.
Yeah, but that's character on both teams. Ohio State drove the ball from their 15. There we go.
Clayton will bring it a yard deep in the end zone, gets a good move there, gets away from Ohio State tackler at the 15 and brings it out to about the 22.
Chief, what I was saying was that there was character on both sides there, with the Buckeyes taking the ball from their own 15 and driving down the field. And then, of course, Michigan showed great character and buttoning up their defense and forcing the field goal.
So here you are now at about the 23-yard line. First down for Michigan with 5:42 to go in the 3rd quarter. Rick Leach. Outside to Smith. And Roosevelt Smith is across the 25 to the 26, where Kelton Densler makes the tackle. We have said a number of times in this telecast today that this game is for the Rose Bowl with a score of 14-6 if you want to look that far ahead. A tie ball game would send Ohio State to the Rose Bowl because Ohio State's only loss was outside conference play to Oklahoma. Michigan has lost the conference game to Minnesota. So if they tie for the conference title and the ball game here in Ohio State, it would be off to the west, and that ball is fumbled. And Ohio State gets it. Joe Electro recovered the football. Dave Atkins is the man that knocked it loose. And so the Buckeyes are back in business. First down at the Michigan 31-yard line.
They've now exchanged fumbles. Couldn't see just exactly what happened that time to Roosevelt Smith, whether he got hit on that side or whether or not the ball just...
Atkins hit him.
Atkins hit him then, took it loose from him.
All right, here we go at the Michigan 31-yard line. The Wolverine defense being tested one more time as Gerald gives the ball to Jeff Logan. And Logan getting a good block on the left side of the line. Goes hammering through there, running behind Chris Ward and Mark Lang. And he moves it from the 31. Just inside the 25. Logan now, 11 carries and 42 yards. This program a special exclusive of ABC Sports. Let's pause 5 seconds to allow our local stations to identify themselves. Gerald gives the ball to the short man out of the I formation. Jeff Logan, and he's inside the 23. He's about a yard... a little more than a yard short of the first down. The third down coming up. So it's third and a long one. Coming up on 4 minutes to play in the third quarter. Campbell is hit behind the line of scrimmage. Ron Simpkins, number 40, and you could hear the collision for a mile.
Simpkins, the leading tackler, has had a sensational year. The guard pulled to block the end, and he came right through that gap. And, of course, they got it to first down and forced a tough situation and decision for the Buckeyes.
In comes the kicking tee. Onikiewski coming on to go for his third field goal in the game. He kicked the 2 to make it 6. This is some 42 yards. No. So Ohio State is turned away by the Michigan defense at 3:07 to go, third quarter.
Excuse me, sir. We'd like to take away your Schlitz and have you try our beer.
Shut up. Shut up. Down, baby. I'll handle this. You...
Now 2 for 5 in field goals as he missed that one, and Michigan's defense got to be pretty high after that piece of work. And here comes the Wolverine offense, first down at the 20. Ball is given to Russell Davis, and he is pinned by Dave Atkins at the 22-yard line. Atkins dove in there and just locked his ankles, and the only thing that Davis could get out of it was the length of his body.
Atkins had 28 tackles in the Oklahoma game, the only game that Ohio State lost. And there he was in there again, popping away.
Total yardage belongs still to Ohio State, but Michigan leads 14-6 in the game with 2:35 to go in the third period. Second down, 8. Leach throws. It is good to Clayton. And nope, he is out of bounds when he made the catch. Pass is incomplete. Tom Cousineau was dropping back with him, trying to cover him.
Now Clayton comes up the sideline. Leach gave him a pump first of all, then threw it, looked like it was going to be intercepted for a moment. No, he just tipped it. He was out of bounds without any question. You see it there in that picture.
26 covering Tom Roach instead of 36 Cousinall.
You know, Keith, one of the things that, Texas is a great football team this year, and one of their strengths is their great offensive weapon in Ertzleben. And, of course, you can see here, had Ohio State made all of their field goals, they would be leading 15-14.
Right. On 3rd and 8. Russell Davis is pulled down at the 24-yard line again by Dave Atkins.
And he saved the first down.
One of the great matchups on the field is between Walt Downing of Michigan and Aaron Brown, the middle guard for Ohio State. There you see them squared off. That time Downing was the winner, I think.
Well, Brown took a shoulder, and, of course, Atkins covered for him.
All right. 4th down, John Anderson will punt. Mike Guess is deep for Ohio State.
Look out.
Kick is away. High hanger. Allegro. And Joe Allegro gives Ohio State good field position at the 44-yard line on a 36-yard punt. On ABC's NFL Monday Night Football next Monday, two teams that have been around since the NFL became a factor in American society, the Green Bay Packers and the Washington Redskins. That's at 9 Eastern Time. Redskins and the Packers on ABC's NFL Monday Night Football. Washington still hopeful of reaching the playoffs with a 5-4 record. First down for Ohio State, their 44. Gerald wants to throw. He can find no one to throw to. And he runs from the 44 out near the 48.
Well, they took what could have been a negative play because he could not find an open receiver and scrambled for 3 or 4 yards.
Dale Keats, Michigan defensive tackle, has come out of the game with an apparent arm injury, and Chris Godfrey, number 90, a sophomore from Miami Lakes, Florida, is in. Coming up on a minute to go in the 3rd quarter. 2nd down, 6 Buckeyes. Ball is slipped away by Gerald to Logan, and Logan just barely gets over midfield before Simpkins drills him.
Well, I tell you, that Simpkins that time really hit him. He flows in here. Watch Simpkins, number 40. He flows with the play, avoids a blocker. He's just a sophomore. Look at him put the hit on here on Logan. He just stops him dead cold, drives him back, and that is picture book stuff. I'll tell you that defensively.
And it is 3rd down and a long 3 for Ohio State. Outside the Springs. First down and then some. Started to cut back, lost his footing. First down, Ohio State at the Michigan 33. And the Buckeyes keep knocking on the door, and sooner or later, the law of averages got to work for them.
Well, they finally got that option going. Gerald comes out, fakes the ball to the fullback, pitches the ball out to Springs. He gets leverage, one of the few times that the corner man did not come up and stop it. And for some strange reason, Keith, I have seen 3 or 4 times between the 30 and 40 on this right hash, people slip and fall. I don't know what it is, whether it's what or what.
They are playing on artificial surface here at Michigan Stadium. With 10 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter, the pitch goes to Jeff Logan, and he dives close to the 30. He'll have about 3 on that carry as time expires after 3 quarters of play. Michigan 14, Ohio State 6. Well, here's the final 15 minutes of this 74th meeting between Ohio State and Michigan, with the Wolverines leading the Buckeyes 14-6. 2nd down and 7 yards to go for Ohio State, and carrying the ball is Paul Kemble from the fullback position. And the numbers after 3 quarters of play read this way.
First down, 16-7, as you can see, 145 yards rushing for Ohio State, 89, 93-55 in the passing, 238 to 144. And as you mentioned, Keith, you just get the feeling Ohio State's going to score. They just keep knocking.
It was the turnover that really put them in a jam. It's also been the great play of the Michigan defense, which kept them out of the end zone without a touchdown. 2nd down and 9 for Ohio State. 2 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. 2nd down and 9 for Ohio State. Rod Gerald on third down. Throws it over the middle to Ron Springs, and a saving tackle. He was almost gone to the corner. Coming across to make the save for Michigan, Jim Pickens, number 18. Just got him by the ankle.
Boy, he did. Otherwise, Springs was gone again for a touchdown. Not again, I should say, but certainly he was going to get in there. He was wide open. They were man-to-man coverage, and they put the rush on, but this time the Buckeyes kept the rushers off of him until he could throw the ball.
It is first down at the 19-yard line of Michigan. Double wide to the left. Rod Gerald coming this way, flips it off to Springs, and Springs is over the 15 to the 14. And again, it's Jim Pickens on the tackle.
Well, we're right down in that territory where they've had all kinds of problems. Oh, yeah. I'll tell you what, Keith, they'll go for 2 points because they have nothing to lose. They can tie the ball game up, and if they don't, a field goal would put them ahead anyway. So they can anticipate if they score a 2-point attempt.
At the 14, second down and 5. Outside Springs to about the 11. They're going to be looking at 3rd and 2.
You know what they're getting now? James Harrell is managing now to keep the contained man who supports up for the pitch, the defensive halfbacks of the Michigan team, just occupied long enough to get that thing with a little leverage going now. Prior to this time, they were up supporting and knocking Harrell away and knocking down the Ohio State ball carriers. But they seem to be getting better blocking on the flanks.
They'll work out of the full house backfield on 3rd and 2. Logan in motion. Gerald hands it. No, gives it outside to Jeff Logan. He dives for his first down. He is shoved out of bounds by Pickens again. So Jim Pickens has been involved in 3 successive defensive plays for Michigan, and the Buckeyes are a yard short of the first down, and here they got to go.
He's going to go for it. This is the option play. Gerald comes down, fakes the ball to the fullback, continues on. He's forced to pitch the ball. We lose it right there just momentarily, but that's a big gamble play down in there not to get the first down. Here they go.
4th and 1 from the 10. Campbell spins and falls forward, and it's very close. He was hammered by Mel Owens. It looked like Owens right at the line of scrimmage, but he spun. Now it's a question of how much progress they give him, they will measure.
Tell you this, Mike Jolly doesn't think they made it. He's jumping up and down, thinks it's going the other way.
They didn't make it. Wow. The length of the football short of the first down.
Here's another look at it. Gerald comes back, just hands it off to him. Let's see what happens here.
Mel Owens hit him.
Owens hit him. He spun off. No, he didn't get it.
And here comes Michigan on first down. And Rick Leach brings it out close to the 15-yard line for the better part of 6 yards with 12:30 to play in the game, and Michigan sitting on a 14-6 lead.
Now this is where defensively you got a team down in the hole starting at their own 9-yard line. You'd like to hold them, force a punt, and get another opportunity with good field position. Good play there by Leach, bringing it out to the 15.
It's second down at about 5. Ball is just inside the 15. Leach gives it to Roosevelt Smith. And he's got the first down. Paul Ross finally drags him down, but this sophomore from Detroit is an exciting runner.
He really came out the other end that time, as we say. It wasn't that well blocked, but boy, he thrust through there, picked up the first down.
Smith has run 8 times with the ball for 34 yards. Ohio State statistically well ahead in the game, but Michigan comfortably ahead at the moment on the scoreboard. 14-6. First down for the Wolverines from the 22. Leach to Smith. They'll give him right near the 31 as Kelton Dantzler made the stop for the Buckeyes. He gained about 9 yards. It'll be 2nd and 1.
I'll tell you one thing, Keith, from a field position standpoint, taking that ball from your own 9-yard line and moving it out past the 30 is 2 big first downs, because had they been forced to punt from their own end zone, it would have been far more difficult. But they're out here with a little breathing room.
Davis. He was hit, bounced off the stack. Adkins really banged him, and he bounced off of it, and finally Dantzler, along with Eddie Beeman, put him down. He got just enough for his first down at the 33. So now Michigan trying to possess the ball and run that clock.
You have to guess that Leach is going to come out with another option play. Probably to this side. Here it comes. Gave the ball.
Russell Davis across the 40 to the 41. Byron Cato made the stop. Now Michigan is moving it. And here's Bill Fleming.
And the Notre Dame Fighting Irish are moving it today, too, against Air Force. The 6th-ranked Irish, 35-0 in the third quarter. And here's an update on that Arkansas-SMU game. 21-7. The Razorbacks will be in action on Thanksgiving Day against Texas Tech, and they're leading the Ponies at halftime. 2:30 Eastern time for that game. Okay, back to this one, Keith.
Thank you, Bill. At the 41-yard line. 2nd down to Michigan. Big fullback Russell Davis just hammers away, running behind Walt Downing, the center, and Mark Donahue, the left guard, and he's got another Michigan first down. And we're coming up on 10:30 to play in the game. 14-6, the Wolverines. The Michigan defense so far in this ball game has just been sensational.
They really have. When they were challenged deep in their own territory, about 4 or 5 times in this game.
Smith, the tailback, a couple of yards, and Dave Adkins, another tackle. Wow. On Thursday, as Bill Fleming noted a moment ago, Arkansas and Texas Tech at 2:30 Eastern time. It's a ball game that could involve a couple of teams headed for postseason bowls right there. You see Arkansas. Then on Friday, it's Nebraska, Oklahoma, followed by USC and UCLA. Times you see there at 2, all begins at 2 o'clock Eastern time. And then on Saturday, Pitt, Penn State, Army, Navy. It is 2nd down, 9 from the 48 for Michigan. Russell Davis given the ball, and the big guy gets to midfield, and there he is hammered by Dantzler and Adkins.
You know, the last 2 defenses that Ohio State has used are gambling-type defenses trying to shut their running game off, the Michigan's running game. And, of course, the kind of defenses that they're using, you either stop them for no gain or a yard loss, or they may go for big ones, depending on what happens.
9:05 to play in the game. 3rd down and 7 from midfield. Option, Leach. They get him short of the first down as he drops at the 46 of Ohio State, and now the Buckeye defense forcing Michigan to punt.
I tell you, boy, they took some time off the clock. I'm talking about Michigan, up from their own 9-yard line down to the Buckeye 46, and of course, barring any clock block punt, it would appear that Ohio State's going to get poor field position on this return drive.
Well, let's see how many they send. The 5th punt of the ball game for Michigan's John Anderson. He's hit a couple of dandies. One of them 52 yards, that was really useful. Not much of a rush. Guess Fair catches at the 10. So here are the Buckeyes now. After a 36-yard punt, Anderson nails them down back at their own 10-yard line with 8:10 to play in the game.
I'm Jim McKay for the
Woody Hayes and his Ohio State Buckeyes are beleaguered at the moment. They have the ball down on the 10-yard line, first down, with 8:10 to play in the game, and they trail by 8 points. Gerald will throw. Puts it to the sidelines to Harrell, who slips down up around the 15. That'll be about a 5-yard gain.
Well, they've got to put the ball up in the air. They've got to score. They've got less than 8 minutes now. And even if they do score, they're not guaranteed that they'll make the 2-point play, which would necessitate them getting the ball back again. And old Ben is against them. It's still running on them, and they've got to come up with a big one down here to get them back down in field position.
Herman Jones and James Harrell wide to the open side of the field. Gerald gives the ball to Logan, and there is nothing there as Curtis Greer is there to make the tackle. Dale Keats is back in the game, too, number 55. He came out a little while ago with a hurt arm, but he's returned.
They're faced with a real tough decision here as far as whether they're going to run or pass. They need a first down. 5 yards.
That second down play right there was a big play. They got nothing out of it.
Yes, they came up empty.
3rd down and 5. Throws pass over the middle. Harrell. First down, Ohio State at the 35. John Anderson dropping back, made the stop.
Hey, that was one of the few times that Harrell's had that kind of time to throw the ball. Harrell just goes right straight up the field, gets deep in behind the linebackers, crosses clear over. Now you can count the amount of time. Gerald's got a lot of time. He delivers right there, and that was a big play.
10 out of 12 for 129 yards for Rod Gerald. That's a fairly successful day through the air, but this team is behind with 6:45 to go in the game. Gerald will throw it again. Throws it short to Springs. And Springs squeezes a little bit out of it, gets it up to the 45. That's about a yard short of the first down. This possession on first down at the 36 after the catch by Harrell. So it'll be 2nd down, 1.
The Ohio State gets in here, and they do make the 2-point play. And certainly it's possible. They've got to score first, of course, but that would send them to the Rose Bowl, and this thing is hanging in balance.
Gerald has now hit 6 passes in a row. 2nd down, 1. Gives the ball off. And the play's good for the first down to the 49-yard line with Paul Campbell out of Ravenna, Ohio, carrying. We've not seen Joel Payton today, who became a factor in the Ohio State offense as of the Oklahoma game.
You know, one of the things that is helping today is the fact that when there is a first down, the clock stops while they move the chain, and it does give you a few more seconds, a few more minutes in a 60-minute game.
First down at the 49. 5:45 to play. Gerald to throw. He's got a couple of men open, but runs it up the middle. He's got a first down at the Michigan 35-yard line, and it was John Anderson that got just a little piece of him. Otherwise, he might have really taken off. He got 16 yards on the run.
They were putting the blitz on him, and he managed to split between the 2 inside guys. Watch him come, and he steps right between the 2, and he's into the secondary now, and he can really move. Ball's at the 35, and there, I tell you this, I know how Bo Schembechler feels right now.
He's working on that chewing gum, isn't he?
Oh.
Double wide to the open side. Gerald rides it off, keeps it, delivers to Springs, and Ron Springs runs hard, gets 9. He's down to the 26-yard line, and Curtis Greer, 95, on the tackle for Michigan.
Well, they put this kind of drive on, I don't know how many times in this ball game, and they get down inside that 20, 25-yard line, and they just can't seem to make the touchdown.
Mel Owens is back in the lineup, replacing Jerry Meter now. Get a little bigger guy in there at the linebacker position. Owens was involved in the last time that Michigan stopped Ohio State. Handoff goes to Campbell, and it's Mel Owens diving underneath to get him at the 25 as he tried to reach inside the 25 for the first down, and he didn't get it.
Owens did a great job there. He shut that play down before it even got started.
4:25 to play in the game. Michigan 14, Ohio State 6. A tie game sends Ohio State west. Michigan defense digs in. Pitch to Springs. First down. Springs still going.
Look at here.
Down the sidelines and right. Let's see where they put him out. Paul Campbell threw a heck of a block for him.
Boy, he sure did. The fullback leading. He just pitches the ball out to Springs. They wall off the inside. See if we can see Payton gets a great block. Or Campbell, I'm sorry, gets the great block. Springs avoids a tackler, and he's sprinting down the sideline.
Springs having a good day. He's got 85 yards on 13 carries, and the official on the sidelines put him out of bounds exactly at the 8. So it's first and goal to go from the 8 for Ohio State with 4 minutes to play in the game. Ball is loose. Michigan's got it. John Anderson was the man that knocked it loose, I do believe.
It was. Anderson really did a job.
Derek Howard recovered it. Howard is coming out with a ball he'll probably keep all of his life. 3:58 to play.
See what's new today. There's a big difference between these two Chevette two-door hatchbacks. The difference is the
Gerald is running the option. Look at Anderson. Comes in before Gerald can deal the ball off. Makes the contact. Shakes the ball loose. And of course, Michigan recovers. And what a big play for the Wolverines.
I'll say it again. The Wolverine defense has been spectacular. The adjectives becoming more pronounced as the day wears on.
When you look at the scoreboard up there, and there's only 6 points and 2 field goals, and the number of times that Ohio State was inside the 20-yard line, it's an incredible defensive performance.
3:58 to play in the game. First down, Michigan at their 18-yard line. 14-6, the Wolverines lead it. And it is Russell Davis, the fullback. They'll just probably give that big guy the ball 3 times, and then if they have to, they'll kick it as hopefully that as far as John Anderson's legs will allow him.
Keith, you look up at the scoreboard, you see that Ohio State has 3 timeouts left. It's almost mandatory that the Ohio State team hold Michigan here if they expect to get the ball back and do anything. But they do have 3 timeouts left, and they'll have to use them judiciously.
Davis got about 3.5 yards on that carry. Make it second down, a short 7. Outside the 21. Leach to Smith. They get him at the 25. It'll be third down and 3.
You can see the Michigan team very slowly going back to the huddle, trying to take the whole 25 seconds to put the ball in play. Now they got the timeout.
Ohio State spends 1 of its 3 times out, so let's see, 2:56 to play in the game. Michigan on top, 14-6. It was one of the amazing things about this game of football. Ohio State looked early like they'd run away, but not so.
Everybody has somebody.
To punt the ball away to Ohio State with 2 minutes and 56 seconds to play in the game. Michigan on top by a score of 14-6. Michigan wins. They go to the Rose Bowl. And we're anticipating an announcement that Ohio State, if they should lose, would accept the Sugar Bowl invitation. But you've got 2 minutes and 56 seconds to play. A lot can happen. Big play here. Davis is short of the first down. That will bring up a 4th down for Michigan. Aaron Brown, number 55, came slamming in to stop the Michigan fullback.
A lot of time in the game, 2:238 right now. Depends on what kind of punt, what kind of return. They're still alive because that 2-point play could still tie this game.
There are 9 white shirts on the line. 9.
They're going after it.
Now 10. Here they go. They don't get it, and Anderson with a bullet. Beautiful punt. Mike Guess all by himself.
What a clutch punt.
46-yard punt. Ohio State gets the ball at the 35. When Ohio State lost the ball a moment ago on the fumble, Woody Hayes, frustrated on an aggravating day, came plunging toward one of our cameras. And I'm told that he took a swing at one of our cameramen down there.
Well, he's had a good year so far, so I don't want to see him spoil it.
First down, just short of the 35. Gerald. Look out. The Ohio State quarterback runs for a first down. Takes it out to the 47.
All on his own, too. That was another scramble on his part.
Chris Ward, big 79, 272-pounder out of Dayton. Just hammering folks down there, and we've got a man hurt on the field for Michigan. Dom Tedesco is shaken up on the play with exactly 2 minutes to play in the game. Time call for the moment. You know, starting with the 1967 final game of the season when Ohio State beat Michigan 24-14, including the Bowls, the Wolverines have not won the final game of any season since 1966. But today they're closing in on it. Two minutes to play in a ball game. Ohio State, first down at their own 47. Gerald to throw. Throws it short. Springs. Cut down at midfield. Hit by Ron Simpkins, number 40 of Michigan. The voting is going on now for the Chevrolet offensive and defensive players of the game. We'll announce them for you in just a moment or two. Clock is running. 1:40 to play. Gerald, a lot of time. Goes deep. Harrell, and can't get it. Mike Jolly was right there with him.
Well, good coverage on it. He tried to shake Jolly, but just couldn't do it. You see here, Harrell comes straight up the field, tries to put a move, fakes him to the outside, and then goes right up the field, but he doesn't have the speed to beat Jolly. And the ball is thrown clear over the wrong side, and of course, there's no damage done.
It is third down. They need 7 yards for a first down. Springs again, and they're short of the first down. The tackle is made at the 46 by Jerry Meter and Ron Simpkins.
These linebackers were waiting for that now. They've gone to the well too many times, I think, on that play. The Wolverine linebackers are just sitting in there waiting for Springs to come through, and it's not picking up the kind of yardage it did before.
Timeout on the field, charged against Ohio State. They have 1 remaining with 1:10 to play.
See what's new today.
Yards to go for a first down. The Rose Bowl may be riding on this play. Ron Springs will not get the first down. The Michigan defense pushes him out of bounds at about the 45-yard line. It was John Anderson's side of the field, and he made the play with help from Ron Simpkins.
What can you say about this Michigan defense? They've come up with a big play time and time again this afternoon. They were challenged. They've met every one of them.
And so, with 1 minute and 6 seconds remaining to play in the game, the Michigan defense has covered itself with glory against a tough Ohio State ball club that just kept coming and kept coming. But each time were turned away and kept out of the end zone. Now Michigan, with 4 downs, will try to run out the clock. There's the first one, Ohio State with only 1 timeout remaining. The offensive player of today's game, number 23, Ron Springs for Ohio State. 14 carries, 86 yards. He caught 7 passes for 49 yards. The defensive player, John Anderson of Michigan, the linebacker, or plays really a defensive end position. He has not only been outstanding defensively, but he has delivered the punt so well today for the Wolverines that he has constantly been able to keep Ohio State at bay. Less than 30 seconds. And whistles stop it, probably too much time. If so, that would be the second penalty in the game. Only the second penalty in the game. Now each team has a penalty apiece of 5 yards. Prudential College scoreboard comes right after we finish the Ohio State-Michigan game. And then we'll have across the country, we'll have Texas and Baylor. We'll have Washington State, Massachusetts, Boston College, Clemson, and South Carolina. Well, this big old crowd of 106,024, a new record crowd for this great college football rivalry. Many of them, in fact, most of them, wearing the blue today for Michigan, standing now and ready to join in a post-game celebration that will mean Rose Bowl for the Wolverines, and we'll wait to see whether or not Ohio State will accept the invitation to go to the Sugar Bowl. 22 seconds to play in the game, and Ohio State spends its last timeout.
Well, it's been another one of those typical Ohio State-Michigan games.
Well, Woody was right on it when he said it would be a game played close to the elbow. It was his word, and said it would probably go right down to the late moments of the game, and it has. And it's not very often that you have seen an Ohio State football team kept out of an end zone for 60 minutes.
I'll tell you take a look at Woody Hayes there. That's the toughest position in the world to be in. They just feel awful. And on the other side of the field, of course, you see the jubilation of Bo Schembechler, who has won his second straight game over Woody Hayes. And this, the Ohio State-Michigan series, the tremendous series, and to win it, of course, and all the plums that go with it, is so satisfying.
This will even them up, too. As they have opposed each other, they'll be dead even against each other. The clock is running. The goalposts, they're trying to tear them down at the Michigan end of the field. The clock continues to roll. 10 seconds, and the crowd comes storming out onto the field. There will be no more action in this game. It now becomes a matter of survival for the two teams to get to the locker room. As the clock winds down, nothing but zeros showing on the clock. The scoreboard shines brightly for Michigan as the Wolverines beat the Ohio State Buckeyes by a score of 14-6 and win their way to the Rose Bowl to play the winner of the Pacific 8 Conference. And that team is yet to be determined.
You want to point out one single thing that contributed to this victory, of course, was the defensive preparation and performance of the Michigan team. What a day they had.
Remember a long time ago when Coach Bill Alexander, Georgia Tech, said you can have inspiration, preparation all you want, but it doesn't mean a thing without a little extra perspiration.